Welcome to Wrestling, and we are here every couple weeks to talk about wrestling and all sorts of stuff. We've talked about wrestling comic books, No, we haven't done wrestling comic books. We've done wrestling video games.
Wrestling video games, wrestling in toys, wrestling in sex, wrestling
and addiction, wrestling and
age,
all sorts of stuff. I mean, we're
stardom.
We're gonna have a whole library by the time this thing's done. But today,
we already do.
We're gonna talk about wrestling in 2022. And before we get into that, we'll talk a few things that have gone on this week. I happened to go to Rampage in Broomfield, Denver, Colorado. So we'll get into that. Justin, how are you? In-Ring Art at In-Ring Art. Justin, how are you?
I'm doing all right. In the middle, I've been off all week for work.
Hasn't it been awesome, dude?
There's some people that, like, they need a job, they need something to occupy them and all that. Like, dude, I will retire right now. Like, I don't need a job to keep me busy, occupied. I love doing nothing all day and just being able to stay home and all that stuff. I don't need that purpose.
And you don't drink that much, so...
Not that much, no. I haven't. Yeah. Tomorrow I will, but I actually... I don't think I've drank the whole vacation, and it's been, I don't drink that much, to be honest with you.
So when I wasn't drinking at all, like zero, I will say when I had my 2-week break, it was better because I, like, literally planned out the whole 2 weeks, and, like, it was amazing. And, like, I remember thinking, I'm not going to let this 2 weeks go by fast. I'm going to enjoy every day. But, for me, I do need to stay busy because I never drink before work. So getting a little personal here, but it is good for me to stay busy. You know what I mean?
I shouldn't drink before work, that's for sure.
No, I haven't done that for many, many years.
But I was telling you before we went on the air, I'm 2 weeks free of energy drinks, and that was becoming like a habit. And I do see myself as someone that's an undiagnosed ADHD person, and
I could see that.
Experience a lot of anxiety and stress from certain things.
Yeah.
So I feel like those were probably not helping me.
Especially with the anxiety. Because, when I was doing them quite a bit too, I was getting headaches and having some anxiety issues. So cutting back. I drink like 3 a week now, and pretty much I do them in case of like emergencies. If I wake up on that wrong hour and I'm going to work, I'll get one. But even then, in a 10-hour shift, if you drink an energy drink at the start of your work, it ain't gonna be hitting you by 7 hours in.
Or you'll crash. Yeah. But and like I've been going to the gym working out, and when I go, like, I haven't gone on a hike in our neighborhood in a while, but when I do, it's like, let me get that energy drink. There's a reason to take one.
But you got a routine going like that?
Well, I did, but now it's like, you know what, if you're going to go work out, eat a banana or get just drink some, coffee real quick.
It helps with self-esteem, too, because you tell yourself, okay, I have this control. I can do this. And it almost gives you more... No, not for you?
No. I'm just saying, like, when you see that can that says it helps with your focus and your energy, like, I don't know if it really does, to be honest with you. Because I've been just, I'm one of those people I could, like, drink a Red Bull and then go right to bed.
Well, I'm trying to say that with your routine and self-esteem, it helps when you have that control and you don't do it. It almost makes the activity better because you're like, man, I didn't even need that and I just killed it.
Yeah, but, you feel like during the motivation, getting up and getting out and doing it takes a little bit more.
Yeah, just doing it, just starting is sometimes half the battle.
Yeah, but when you're doing it, you're not. You feel like I don't know. It's just something I have to get past since I'm still new to it. Not taking any type of like pre-workout or maybe I need to get like a real pre-workout drink instead of just,
It's the same thing as
I guess
drinks,
so,
dude.
but
they're all supplements. I think
I'll stick with
coffee. Is okay.
Coffee and a banana,
It's still caffeine, but it is much less caffeine than an energy drink for the most part.
And there's not as much chemicals, and it's like a bean.
Well, I will say energy drinks have so many random things, and you don't even know what most of them do.
Just coffee and a little milk, and if what I do is we have a pour over. I know, really, really interesting stuff. To start off the podcast.
I like a pour over or a French press.
Yeah, we got a pour over, and what I do is like I'm really like I'll make a bunch, and then you know, I'll drink some in the morning, and then when I get home, I'll have some. I'll heat it up.
Yeah.
Or you know, what I was doing is I'll make some, and at night, and then in the morning before I go to the gym, I'll just drink it straight out of there cold, just to get that shot.
Yeah.
Of energy. And that's kind of what I'm going to do now. And,
has it become a replacement? I mean, though, in that
not yet. I'm still very young into it, and to be honest with you,
okay.
Last week at work was a little mellow, and you know, obviously I've been off all week, so I haven't really. I felt that was a good time to start cold shouldering it. You know, I didn't want to do it in the middle of a stressful week or whatever. Oh, so sure. I felt like I'm just, you know, I'm very spontaneous. That's where the ADHD might come in, where I'm like, you know, I'm just going to stop now.
Impulsive, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to stop now. And I think it helps with positive. It's positive too, the impulsiveness. Like, you know what, I'm just going to quit now. And like, there's no thinking of something when I dwell on it. I say, oh, I should really stop. But
I've done that with cigarettes before, dude. I was like, you know what, I'm done.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm glad I never got into that. But yeah. But other than that, I've been, you know, this week we've been really, you know, I told you off air, we've been cleaning up the house a lot.
Cleaning up the house, watching some old Raws.
Watching some old Raws. I was watching some the last New Japan show. You know, before
was the Suzuki.
Yeah.
Did you see that final Suzuki match?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Great, huh? Pretty emotional, especially.
Yeah, I didn't get through Takataichi Despy Mania.
I know there's so much though. There's so much. I mean, that Stardom show, the Queendom, that was great too.
Drawing. I've been drawing a lot.
I've seen that and I like that. So people buying your stuff too.
I sold, well, in December I've sold 7 drawings, which is cool.
How can people contact you to grab a drawing? Can they just DM you?
You see, okay, so you can go on my website, theinringart.com, and just look and see what you like, and then DM me. Like, I've been doing 3 for $100. And
you can do all the sorts of different sizes, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're all done on the same type of paper, most of them. 9x12 paper. And the subjects vary in size. That's what I put on the site. So,
you know, Justin, I'll tell you this. This is probably off-air talk, but I recently made a Photoshop for my friend, and I won't go too into detail in case he listens, but it was an awesome Photoshop, and I ended up having it printed on stainless steel. It was expensive,
sounds cool.
But you might want to offer that option. Then you can charge twice as much for it because it's pretty expensive.
I should probably charge more than I do for original artwork, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, dude. Yeah, but I don't sell prints. Like, I don't know. Like,
you're crazy.
I probably should, but I'm. You know what, man? It's just. I
want them to have the original. You're a good guy.
I want them to have the original, and in a way, like, I had someone like I don't even know if I should know who this person is. Someone randomly.
Don't just say it. Just don't say who they are, but.
No, it's just no. I don't know who they are.
Okay.
But someone was texting, or not texting, but DM me about NFTs, doing NFTs, and
yeah, stay away from that.
Yeah, you know, I had a friend that insisted on doing it for me, and there's a couple, like, I don't know what happened with them, but it's a friend I trust, and like they have them, but
it's a bad look though nowadays.
I mean, look. But I that one of my questions was to him, he didn't know, but this person told me I could, but like
I probably do.
What happens if I turn something into an NFT? What happens to the original piece? Can I sell the individual piece? I can sell the individual piece as art, right?
You do whatever you want with the original piece. That has nothing to do with the NFT. The NFT is a
digital rights
string of letters on a blockchain that represents the file that you would be selling that someone could potentially make money off of and sell later.
So I'd be selling the digital rights, basically.
Not even that. You could throw it all over the internet, and it still wouldn't matter.
I don't. It's just like the crypto thing. I had some friends really into it, and they got pretty profitable. I just don't get it.
Crypto's crashing right now. Most of them are crashing, and I know there's a wrestling podcast, but the Sam Bankman fraud situation,
that guy,
FTX. You have a lot of bullshit. You're hearing a lot less about NFTs nowadays too. because people had so much distrust in him from the get-go. It ended up being so many scams involved with it, rug pulls as far as cryptocurrency, that it's just a bad look. Like saying the word NFT is bad for optics nowadays.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It seems like it would. No offense to people into it and doing it, but it just seems like a douche move. It's like selling out.
Say offense to them. I mean, right now you have the Bored Apes Yacht Club suing people for basically saying bad stuff about them.
I mean, listen, I love the idea of making a bunch of money because I could use it, but like, I don't know if I want to. Anyways,
invest in John Deere, guys. Don't buy NFTs. That's not investment advice, by the way, right?
Hey, man, I got 2 boxes. I think I have about 290 drawings on that website and I have more uploaded. I mean, in these boxes I have below me, but below me, not below me.
I heard
that. They're just sitting there filed and all that. So I have a lot of inventory, and I know that there's going to be stuff coming up during WrestleMania. That'll be fun. But anyways, for now, we can talk about wrestling.
Talk about Dynamite real quick.
Hey, John, tell us all about your experience in, the frozen tundra of Denver.
Yeah, but on a side note, I did a question on Reddit, on the podcast, which is subreddit, that said, what do you hate most about podcasts? And the top answer was banter, which I was shocked with, because I like that when they're funny. So
I like banter too, but I think it's one of those like cliche things to say you don't like.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. That was weird because I like the personality-driven banter. I will say,
it sounds natural, like when people are just kind of shooting the shit, like talking natural, I think it comes off as better. And I think as we're doing it, we've kind of developed this chemistry where we're just a couple of friends.
Well, yeah, we're just recording stuff that we talk about before the show. I mean, literally, we were talking, and he's like, "We should hit record." I was like, "Yeah, good idea." So, let's jump onto that Dynamite. I won't go into the full story for everybody, but after the show, it was frozen tundra outside. We had tons of snow. We spent about 45 minutes in the parking lot, Justin.
That can go for any sporting venue. It can take you a while to get out of a parking lot.
Yeah, but this isn't Crypto Center, bro. This is fucking Broomfield. Like, and it's never usually in Broomfield. Like the last show, you just leave. Yeah, yes, it is a line. You know what I mean? But we didn't even do the main parking. We did like this dirt road parking off to the side.
That's true. You're talking about. A basketball, 18,000. You're not talking about a football stadium leaving a football stadium.
Broncos game or something, yeah,
right.
Of course. No, this was a small arena. Again, there's like 2 dirt area parking spaces for free, and those are pretty far. Those are like a quarter mile from the stadium. So we parked at those places, and we were stuck. And it was a clusterfuck. We slipped on the road many times after. I live an hour away from Denver, and I called it quits soon after we slipped for the 3rd or 4th time. And
what kind of vehicle does your friend have?
He has a Ford Focus, maybe. 2-wheel drive.
Nothing.
Front-wheel drive.
Right.
No snow tires. And he's an Uber driver, and he's used to driving quite a bit, but this snow fucked him up. And
you didn't have chains?
No chains. In fact, for a lot of the times, we had to pull his car mat off his floor and put it under his tire to give him traction, to push him out. And a lot of people helped us. Thank you to all them and I'm sure they're listening. A lot of people did help us, but a lot of people also gave up on us because we were that stuck. So at the 4th time we got stuck, I said, fuck it. I said, good luck to my friend. I'm getting an Uber going to a motel, and that's what I did. And I had a fun
Didn't you ask the guy, like, hey, man, let's go get a hotel. This is fucked
up.
Yes. And he didn't want to do it.
After the first time we slipped, neither of them wanted to. And I said, I kept saying, we need to plan something. We need to figure something out. But, nope. And they did get home safely, so that's a good ending to the story, right?
Because your friends got home safe, and you had to, spring $60 for a hotel?
$80, but it was fun too. And I took a bet that they wouldn't make it home safely, and in a way, I lost that bet. But I'm still happy that I would. My anxiety.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to collect on that bet if they didn't make it home safely. Like, you're in the hospital.
It was my anxiety that was so bad. It's not like I was having a panic attack, but I was just so uncomfortable. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
and I was freezing from pushing the car over and over on crowded roads, and the car getting slipped in the wrong lane. And shout out to my friend Rabbi, because he's a great guy. But this was one situation where we had to split up. As far as the show, it was great. It was the best live show I've ever been to.
Awesome.
So some of the matches, a lot of people are saying, are some of the best on Dynamite. Man, it was just quite an experience. Started without going the full rundown, just what I remember and what was great. We saw Bryan Danielson versus Ethan Page. Ethan Page was over in Colorado, weirdly enough. We had dueling "Let's Go Bryan, Let's Go Ethan" chants, which was crazy. It was a good match. We saw the I was about to say the Bullet Club, the other B Club, the Blackpool Combat Club, versus, who did they go against? They went against Top Flight, right? And that was another crazy match. I had awesome seats. You could probably see me on TV. I was like in the stands, like 6 rows up, perfect view,
nice.
Right down on the action. The only shitty thing was that the camera was across from me, so when they did their poses, they looked away. You know what I'm talking about. But,
they looked to the camera now.
They looked to the camera, yeah. We saw the trios match. That was the best match of the night. I mean, dude, did you watch it on TV yet?
I watched most of it, but I remember you having some concerns about the trios match since it was a falls count anywhere.
And you know what? I hope he listens to my tweet, because I tweeted Kenny and said, please, it's a falls count anywhere. Please do some of it in the ring. And it ended up being the reverse of a falls count anywhere match, where it started outside and they worked their way towards the ring. And that was awesome. And it was so awesome because we're watching it on the screen and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And then the fighting bleeds out into the entrance, you know?
Right, right.
And of course the finish was great. We're all watching in the middle, and they're about to tap out, and we're like, tap, tap, tap. And then all of a sudden, the spotlight shines, and you see Kenny up with the one-winged angel in the corner of the arena. And everyone's like, what the fuck, dude? Bang, he hit it, and they won. So they're going to be going to L.A. In 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I believe.
And Kenny's on a flight to Tokyo, probably, as we speak.
Kenny's on a flight to Tokyo, so really awesome show. Rampage was good, too. The women's matches were both good. Jade Cargill was super over. Orange Cassidy and Trent was a great match. Trent was awesome. It was just a really good show. We even got to see MJF for like a second. And now, did you see that he was like up in the box?
I think so. I was kind of spaced out when I was watching. I don't remember what I was doing. I might have been cleaning up in here.
You were probably getting off of energy drinks, and that'll leave you.
Yeah, I was in a weird frame of mind for a little while.
I don't blame you. But no, here's the cool thing. We see MJF on the TV, and I look up, and he's right above us back there.
In one of the luxury suites?
Yeah, and this is not a huge arena, so there's no luxury suite. It was probably just a little box up there. But I see him right above us, and I'm like, oh shit, there we go. There he is. So, great show, amazing environment. And I was wondering, this Colorado crowd, both times they've been really great, and I was wondering why. And I think I figured it out. They do not sell cups of beer there. They only sell tall boys. I think that's it. So, you have to buy a 24-ounce can. You can't buy just a cup. And it's Colorado. People are, they are known for drinking and smoking here.
How much was a beer at that arena?
It was $10 to $15 for a tall boy can. I think that's pretty good, because a tall boy, that means you're getting 2 beers in a can at $5 a beer. That's pretty cheap for an arena.
No, that's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like some of the fancier beers were like, $14 for a can. But even then, that means $7 for a beer. And
how was the merch stands?
I didn't actually check the merch. I knew I wasn't buying merch, but my friend got some merch. I don't know, man. I kind of missed the merch. I can't really speak on that.
You're not a merch guy, or just didn't have the
not at
cash
shows?
in the
no,
budget?
I'm the type where I'll buy it online the next day for half the price.
That's true.
I've never. I think I bought a Sting mask once for merch, but no. But the crowd was crazy. I sat next to two 18-year-old kids who were AEW freaks, and we did have a dude on the bottom left that was kind of trying to steal the show, and he was being the contrarian. You know.
Okay.
He's trying to.
Yeah, we know the type. We know the type.
Yeah. So, but the people around me were really chill. Yeah, no, it was great, man. It was, again, the last AEW show compared to this one, you can just see how much the company's grown. I mean, because that last show 3 years ago, there was a lot of, not that great wrestling on it, and there was a lot of undercard guys, but this event was just all top dudes, basically, or people on the rise. And they've had 3 years to build. So, I mean, they say you should listen to every wrestler can listen to your podcast, but I had to watch Big Swole 3 years ago, and I remember thinking this chick is not. This is like indie wrestling, and there was none of that. We saw Willow Nightingale, and
I heard you really raved about her online.
And you know what? Ruby is really good too, dude. I was actually very impressed with her as well. Yeah, I mean, they just looked great. I mean, they looked great. The other cool thing is that Tony used tons of local talent for the show.
He always does, especially with Dark. You got to fill up a lot of Dark is a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, we saw a lot of dudes from Colorado Springs on the show. So we saw a tag match with a guy from Colorado Springs on Dynamite. So, I mean... Yeah, that was awesome. A lot of people that I had cheered for in RMP and Colorado Springs, right there on the show. And another thing to mention is that they have a Japanese guy wrestling for AEW right now, and his name is Hino. I'm gonna have to look at. He's old. He's kind of old. He's 39 years old, but he's pretty good, dude. He wrestled the House of Black. It was two jobbers and him versus pretty much three jobbers versus House of Black. They had a really good match, too, for what it was. So check that out on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it's on. Just some other thing real quick here. It looks like Paul White will be the announcer now for Rampage. I don't know what's going on with JR anymore. I don't know if he's going to be shuttered from the company or what.
What happened there? I just... don't think he's full-time. I mean, the dude's almost 70.
No, but he was doing Rampage before, and he wasn't even doing Rampage.
Maybe he just took the week off for the holidays.
Well, here's the other thing, though. This was the last ever Dynamite show with that look, and they're making a lot of production changes. So I don't think Tony would straight up fire him, but I think he's slowly fading him off. And like you said, it's not the worst idea. He's probably very happy about his second life of his career.
Now listen, JR's been through a lot the last few years, as we know, and JR's impact on pro wrestling has been undeniable. He's arguably the greatest announcer ever, and he's been so many great calls. I've been watching those old Raws, like I told you, and he's great. Yeah. Except for he at one point during the Attitude Era, very whiny.
What do you mean by that, whiny?
Well, he would just do a lot of complaining about the
bad
cheating
stuff,
and all.
Though?
Yeah.
Oh. About heel tactics.
Yeah, but he would get whiny about the heel tactics and upset,
and the King would laugh about it.
Yeah. But it was just funny that I wasn't his call's been unbelievable. The Hell in the Cell, all that stuff. But we've seen some kind of I don't know if the right word for it is kind of. I don't want to... He just seemed a little behind and almost sounded like he was patronizing a lot of the guys with his work the last couple of years.
It's definitely been hit or miss for the last few years where it's he has these great shows and then we've seen these pay-per-views where he kind of fucks up in the first hour. It pisses him off.
That stuff I can understand. That's fine. I forgive that stuff. But when you're saying stuff that kind of... undermines what's going on, or you know what I mean? I think a lot of times he just kind of says something snarky or whatever, and it kind of downgrades what's going on. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that kind of I'm that's the kind of JR stuff where I'm it seems like he's just grumpy, old man yelling at clouds kind of situations.
Yeah. No,
And
I understand. I totally
but love
understand.
JR, still listen to his podcast on occasion and all that stuff, and definitely appreciate all the work he's done. But that's probably a good idea. I mean, he had a very traumatic thing happen a few years ago with his wife, and he needed to work to get his mind off of it, and he was making a bunch of money and all that. And
Well, he had a second life out of his career.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not talking New Japan. I mean, I'm talking like AEW. He really did. And I think he's always been known as a people person, and in fact, to his detriment in a way. He's always been a people pleaser in a way. So it's like, hell yeah, dude, he got his, and he's probably very grateful for that.
And to be honest with you, gosh, I want to say he's held what you can arguably call the toughest job in all of pro wrestling, which is being talent relations for WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He did that and announced.
I mean, is that fair to say that's one of the top 3 or 4 hardest jobs or most stressful jobs that you can have in all of pro wrestling? I mean, that's fair to say, right?
I think the AEW talent manager now might have it harder, but...
well, yeah, with those last 3 or 4 months, but... just in general,
Yes, and I've heard many stories about good guys going up to him and having to be like, yo, we deserved a lot more money for this pay-per-view bonus and stuff like that. And
yeah.
You got to sit there and talk to Vince, and you got to... I mean, being the arbiter between Vince and anyone is probably not the funnest thing in the world. So, hey, at least he's not like North Carolina State University announcer Gary Hahn.
I heard that before.
Did you hear that?
Was that with the UCLA at the Sun Bowl, right? The UCLA game.
He says, "What did he say?
Amongst the immigrants,
all the illegal aliens."
Yeah. One of my acquaintances said it best. He's like, if you want to lose your job, like if you just quit your job. If you don't want to work it, your job is quit. Why do you know?
Well, but also, do you not want to work anymore in that area at all? I mean, right? Like, because for something like that, you're not going to get hired somewhere else after some bullshit like that.
It's like, let's put aside how inappropriate, xenophobic, and all that stuff those comments are. Like, if you just want to, like, you were going to get fired for saying that. You were. Like, just quit your job if you don't want to work anymore.
Yeah, it's like the kid at Walmart that goes on the intercom and says "fuck you" to everyone else, and then goes viral. But I don't know, when you get viral like that too, it's like, well, you just lost not only your job but maybe your career. Speaking of people's voices, but not so much in a bad way. You and I never watched TNA basically at all, right?
No, I think occasionally I would go by it, yeah, and that was kind of, I want to say TNA's peak was when I was just in the middle of my phase out.
It always seemed low rent to me. As a side fan or just someone who knew what was going on. It always
was its peak kind of like the mid-zeros, right? 05 to 08 kind of era.
With Christian and Sting and maybe Jeff Hardy.
I remember kind of like channel surfing when that was a thing back in the day, and I'd run by it and watch it for a few minutes. But yeah, it always seemed a little like on the lower end, and it would be like, what are all these recycled WW E guys doing here and stuff like that. But
one of the best things that people say, and I've gone back and listened, was the announcing. And one of Mike Tenay, who we probably all know from the years, but Don West recently passed away. I won't go over and over about it as if I even know Don West that much. But from what I've heard, is he was a QVC guy.
That's where I knew him the most from. He was hawking baseball cards and coins and yelling and screaming. He was great. So
you remembered him from QVC?
Yeah, I remember him, hawking baseball cards. I'm going to give you 2 grade 9 such or others, and hawking coins and, kind of like a Billy Mays type of thing. I don't know if you remember Billy Mays. But,
I remember Billy Mays here. But, yeah. Sadly passed away. He was under 60 years old. So really terrible, and our hearts go out to him and his family and all his fans. A lot on Twitter. You've probably seen a lot of his classic calls from TNA. Some really great moments. Jeff Hardy dives and all this crazy stuff that, what you and I don't. Well, we realize this, but we weren't part of it. Is he was a voice of a generation to a lot of fans.
It's just one of those things I have about regretting about wrestling. is that phase out. I really wish I could have talked to myself in 2002 and just say, hey, dude, just keep up with it, you know? Stick it out.
I think we needed that. I don't know if we'd be as much fans as we were nowadays if we didn't take some time off, dude.
Although, that was a long time.
Although, man, you know what, we might have been like, God, it finally got good again, but remember, like, there were no 5-star matches for, like, years and years and years and years and years.
That's true, I guess. But anyway, I mean, I do... One of the regrets I have is that I missed that Shawn Michaels second act.
Yeah, stuff like that I can kind of see. Or maybe seeing John Cena, the rise of John Cena, stuff like that. But,
that I could have missed. I kind of remember when I was tailing out, Cena was just becoming like a thing.
Okay, you got out of it way later than me. When I was getting out of it, like, the Rock was becoming a really huge deal, so...
Yeah, I was kind of started to phase out, like, 02-ish.
Okay, it was like 99, 2000 for me. But yeah, so Don West, maybe check out those clips on Twitter, if you can find them. Even Will Ospreay. Did you see Will Ospreay's tweet?
No.
Yeah, Will Ospreay was saying, like, this was the voice of his childhood. So, a lot of influence there on a lot of people that really grew up with the guy. And you gotta remember, man, TNA did better ratings back then than Dynamite does nowadays by quite a bit.
It's a different model.
It's a different era.
There wasn't Netflix. There wasn't all those streaming services and just other things to occupy. I mean, people, like I said, were still channel surfing, and
I understand.
TiVos were barely a thing.
You're right, but there were still millions of people that watched it on the weekly, so it was very popular. By the way, I went into that motel and I tried to channel surf this weekend. God, that brought me back. Like, you remember when you would channel surf for half an hour and not find anything?
Yeah, probably the same thing now.
No, I found the Crime and Corruption Network. I found a show. So,
well, I don't know if I told you this, but when we went to Vegas for that one night back in July, my kids were watching the TV in the hotel room. Right?
What, they didn't have Netflix in the hotel?
No, yeah, they didn't. So they're watching the TV and they're going through the guide, right?
Of course.
And they're like moving ahead and trying to hit enter so they can watch something, and they're like, hey, it says that this is I clicked on this, and this is still on.
It doesn't start for 2 hours, kid.
Yeah, I was like, yes, because this is on from 7 to 8, and you want to watch something that starts at 10. So I had to explain them the concept of television. You can't just watch something whenever you want. you have to wait for it to come on.
Yeah,
and they couldn't get it.
A streaming list, right?
It's streaming world, yeah. So like I basically had to explain my two sons born in 2011 and 2014 respectively what television is, what broadcast television is.
Netflix was out when they were born, dude.
Netflix. Well, I remember, watching when streaming. They were born into streaming, pretty much.
Yeah, that is.
And that's what they're doing right now. They're probably, I don't know what they're playing, Among Us or something with their buddy right now.
Yeah, don't get me started with the bullshit. But I remember before, and I know you do, before there was even a guide. It was your monthly TV guide that you got from the cable company.
Or you would go to Channel 3 and you would watch the ticker for what's on every channel.
No, I'm saying we didn't even have that.
Yeah, we didn't even have that, right.
But then it upgraded to the ticker, where you would that would take like 10 minutes in its own.
The TV Guide channel, right?
Yeah, and that was all. I watched a lot of HBO when I was younger. That was like the good channel for a while. Sure. And there were sex shows on late at night. So, so very sad for Don West with the awkward transition there. Haven't seen any Stardom this week, right?
Nope. Heard it was good though, but no.
Julia finally has won the red belt. So,
she won the red belt over Surrey?
Yeah. Yep. And
wow,
a lot of people saying it was time.
Okay, sure. I mean, I don't know enough to comment, but good. Yeah. I mean, she's very marketable. I know that.
A lot of people saying that it was a great match. I saw the finish. It looked really awesome. So shout outs to Julia for that win, and I have yet to watch the rest of it. There was a lot of stuff. There was a show in Mexico recently, the big AAA show where
FTR dropping belts left and right.
FTR lost. Yep. They might be losing on the 4th too. We'll see about that, which I wouldn't hate necessarily. But we got the big... They're probably going to come in there as heels against the hometown Japanese natives.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
And, yeah, it looks like... well, we got a lot of stuff coming up that we'll probably talk about, like Sasha Banks, pretty soon. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about that, because we'll see when it happens. What I do want to talk about, though, is 2022. And I want to say, this was a fucking pretty damn good year for wrestling, dude.
Yeah, I would say so, man.
One of the better years that I can remember. Just there was so much stuff. You had the improvement in... Well, let's just pull... I'll just pull it up here. Let's see.
I got it up, too, actually.
Okay, cool.
Glad I still had the window open.
Now I can't find it here.
Ooh, you did some wonderful formatting.
Is it untitled document? Oh, it's okay.
More podcast notes.
Okay. I found a document that says Wrestling in 1997. Okay. So yeah, we had a lot of stuff happen this year. We had AEW Dynamite go to TBS. Not really a big deal to either of us. We had Ring of Honor start the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. NXT Level Up started. Okay, none of that stuff matters. Let's keep talking. Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, right?
He did, yes.
Pretty big deal. I don't know if it's been the best thing in the world for them. What do you think about it so far?
I would. It's kind of got a work in progress. Kind of an incomplete right now.
You're telling me it is a work,
hatched
brother.
Yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a work in progress. There's been some awesome matches, right? I mean, the FTR stuff has been great. We've seen Claudio, great.
We've seen the Briscoes.
That's what I was saying, the FTR stuff with the Briscoes.
Yeah, right.
So,
it's been the closest thing we can get to the Briscoes on national television, I guess.
Yeah. So, like you said, work in progress. We'll see. I really would love I guess we're going to see what happens pretty soon once New Japan gets involved in all that stuff. And if they start... My idea was that they would combine Strong and ROH or something like that. So, did you think of that at all? Or were you thinking that?
It didn't really occur to me, but, I mean, it seems like a very logical thing.
Yeah. So, just an event that happened this year that really was a big deal, but has not yet filled out. So, we have not done Wrestling and Ring of Honor, and I want to wait a little bit until we do that episode, because...
Yeah, I think we did... The closest thing we did was just basically Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor, and I think we kind of touched on Ring of Honor overall.
We did. We touched on it. We did touch on it. And the episode might have been called Wrestling Ring of Honor, to be honest, but it wasn't the full-on... We didn't talk about every champion and all that stuff like we did with Stardom or NXT.
Right.
So, let's see here. WWE Network terminated program in Russia. That sucks for the Russians. Why do they have to be punished for their leader making bad choices? Let's not get into it. Ring of Honor, Jim Crockett Promotions. Ric Flair held his last match. What'd you think of that?
I mean, well, first of all, I heard that Ric Flair has that documentary on Peacock, and
I heard it wasn't very good. I heard it's like...
I heard it was great, actually.
Did you? And who'd you hear that from?
Just various people.
Are you sure you didn't hear that from Conrad Thompson?
No, not from Conrad Thompson. But
you listen to Ric Flair's podcast, by the way?
No.
It's pretty funny, I'm not going to lie, dude, because I listened to the one where he just talks mad shit about people, and he leaves Conrad speechless. He says some wild shit, bro.
I love Ric Flair, but I it's one of those things where, like, I like eggnog every once in a while, but I'm not going to drink that shit every day. And if I did, I'd get sick of it, and I'd find out how gross it was.
And I might throw up.
So I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep Ric Flair at a distance.
Okay.
And just appreciate how great he is, and watch the occasional old promos, and just love Rick. I don't want to get too close to the sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
So I'm gonna let. I don't know if I want to watch that documentary about a guy who, drinks all that alcohol and then still, after almost dying, and to be honest with you, guy should be dead now and still drinks alcohol. Like,
he said he will never stop. So
see, that's I can't.
Although he's kind of,
I don't understand that.
When you get that old and you're drinking and you're still alive, I guess it's kind of like, hey, fuck it, I'm gonna.
And also, yeah, I guess, but I mean, I always think about Alan Arkin's character from Little Miss Sunshine. He's like, I'm 75 now. I'm gonna do drugs and do whatever I want. But the whole thing with the Dark Side of the Ring. Like,
yeah, that.
All that stuff, though, I thought was kind of known about Ric Flair anyway, so I didn't really think that anything was uncovered from that.
A lot of people have claimed that they knew that Vince McMahon would hire women to do all, and it's some of those things that like people kind of know about, but like no one talks about. There's
right.
Between it being in the front, and also remember that episode did bring the woman, the flight attendant, to speak and stuff.
Right.
So
it
put a face to the situation that wasn't previously there.
Well,
he said it never happened though. But I will tell you that I will have a lasting memory of walking in the bus station in downtown Denver and hearing Ric Flair just totally bury fucking Hulk Hogan and. Who else?
I love that. Anything anti-Hogan, I'm for. So
no,
I'm cool with that.
Absolutely hates. Why is his name not the WCW promoter? Well, I can't remember.
Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff. He fucking hates.
Good.
That.
I'm not a fan of Bischoff either. So there's a lot of things I have in common with Ric Flair, but
yeah,
at the same time,
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to. I don't want to get too deep into that.
Did you see why Ricky Steamboat said that he refused to do Ric Flair's last match?
Yeah, because he has a pacemaker and all that. Like, you see, that's what I'm saying.
It's a pretty intelligent thing.
I feel like Rick did it. I don't even think he did it for the money. Episode? I don't really. Well, anyway, like we could just talk about. I mean, what were the wording you put? Pathetic. I mean, I don't want. I really. I'm looking at the notes here because.
And this is coming from two
embarrassing. Well, I mean, I felt like it's one of those things where like nobody was asking Ric Flair to wrestle again.
No.
You know what I mean?
Some things they do for their own
yeah, it was
okay, I did it.
I think Rick, when he cheated death that time, or a year and a half ago or whatever.
Do you remember when the tweets come out like Ric Flair's dead?
Yeah. I really think that he's like, you know what? I'm going to, go even crazier now. I'm even going to wrestle. So I think he had a list of things that he wanted to do. And it was a very he did it for himself. I don't think he was doing it for like, his grandkids that have never seen him wrestle or anything like that.
He wasn't doing it for Jay Lethal or his daughter. No.
It was just something. It was just fine, but it's just one of those things where, a meme where it says nobody, and then Ric Flair decides to wrestle another match.
And he'll probably do it again in another 10 years.
Right.
Speaking of really old people, Vince McMahon retired from WWE. This is, everyone says like biggest news in wrestling history, and really it actually is like technically, I guess. Although, I will say, like, after the allegations and all that stuff happened, the news was not as talked about as some other news this year. But still, it was, when you think of the impact and the effect and all that stuff, really huge news. The allegations and the retirement, that was a real big deal this year.
No, listen, what was one of the things we've been saying as wrestling fans was always just like a common sense was...
We can't wait.
No, just on the basis of Vince isn't giving up till he's dead.
Well, that's
right.
Well, and that's what I meant. It's like, my thing was like, it's gonna. Okay, this is not the same thing as you're saying, but it's like WWE's gonna get good when Vince either dies or retires.
Oh well, that aside, I just think one of the things we said is Vince is never gonna
quit.
Vince is never gonna. He's gonna have to die. That's the only way that
to
Triple H will take over.
Having his hands on the
he's gonna die. He's gonna die first.
And he's still majority shareholder, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in terms of just having that office at every arena on the road, and being the main person. We always said he was going to do it till he died. So that's the shock. The allegations and all that, not surprised, to be honest with you. But the fact that he actually is allegedly no longer in charge, and he's still alive.
I don't think it's alleged, brother, or else I'm pretty sure.
I'm just saying.
A lot of these dudes back.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm always leaving that window open because you never know. But the fact that he is no longer in charge of WWE and is still alive, and somewhat lucid is,
we don't know about
that is the biggest story in wrestling history. Yes.
Pretty crazy stuff
outside the ring, and I mean it's up there for sure. I mean, and obviously I think it's the story of the year. I don't care what your favorite promotion is. Vince no longer in charge of WWE is just insane.
We are a result of the people we talk to in our bubble, but I think there was a bigger story, but that was obviously the impact, and that's why I say technically it was the biggest story of the year, and it is a story that will probably go down in wrestling history, right? So. Oh
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we all remember where we were, kind of thing.
It's like a pre and post Vince, era. So that happened on July 22nd of 2022. July 29th, New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom announced the creation of an IWGP Women's Championship. Just like the ROH situation we talked about earlier, this is a current work in progress, but I think it's a good step for the company. Would you say so?
I mean, we've all kind of wanted some type of integration. With New Japan, I think we were all kind of, especially the Western fans, were kind of wondering why there isn't some kind of integration.
And let me just say, man, there were always a lot of apologists out there that would tell us, oh, no, this is a historical thing, and that's the reason. Or it's giving us all these, trying to, mansplain these excuses about why... and so it was really nice to finally see New Japan just say, no, actually, this is a thing now. So
I mean, the same corporate entity owns the top women's promotion and men's promotion.
Yeah,
it was only a matter of time. Yeah, it was only a matter of time before this happened in a way, but the only thing that was really stopping it from going, I think, that took a little bit of work was the fact that they're broadcast under different broadcasting companies, right?
Yeah, that, and also the former
rival ones.
Former president of New Japan had a different vision. What was his name again? Harold May. So
yeah.
And with the new president, there's been a lot of, in my opinion, positive changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that happened, and again, the work in progress, right? We have Sasha Banks appearing at the Tokyo Dome, which has been so much as confirmed, I've heard recently.
She's there now, allegedly, but let's wait and see what happens.
No, I believe that even the president of New Japan made a statement. Anyways, yes, hangs out with rapper Tomoto in Japan. Okay, I also heard she was in the building at the recent Queendom show. Which would make sense, right? Why the fuck wouldn't she?
Oh, absolutely. So, she's got to be making her rounds.
Probably in one of those, have you seen those suites inside of stadiums that don't let you see the event? Have you seen those? They have them at, Madison Square Garden. They've got the suites that, just have a TV for, super celebrities.
Well, it's like an office.
Yeah, it's why would you even want that, to watch TV?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So, tell me about NXT UK. I know you were a massive fan. You watched every single one of those, right? So, were you sad when NXT UK brand stopped on September 4th?
Is that when it happened? Was that recent?
Yeah, they folded into the NXT normal. NXT normal.
NXT normal.
Yeah.
NXT
2.0.
That is. I mean, I remember watching a few of the things.
Some of the pay-per-views were
over
good.
the years.
Actually, to be honest, Justin, NXT UK had a lot of great talent on it. It's just no one watched it at all. I mean,
they had those really sweet venues that they would use there. Those,
true.
A lot of Pete Dunne, a lot of the Walter matches, and wasn't Chris Hero involved with NXT UK for a while?
I think so. I mean, even for a little bit, Tanner, what's his name? Finn Balor went over there for a match. Tyler Bate. I mean, you had Pretty Deadly, who's turned out to be pretty good. You had Miko Satomura from Japan.
Right, her too, yeah.
Blair Davenport. So that is no more. They will be relaunching as NXT Europe in 2023. We'll see what that even means. So
same thing.
Another kind of we'll wait and see on that one. So
yeah.
I actually do need to change one thing that I said because I made a change. Okay, no, I made a change in my decision. However, let's get down to our awards. Now, the award winners of these events will not be given any type of physical award this year. We were not able to get that, right? Because we were going to give all the award winners physical trophies.
NFTs?
NFT trophies, yeah. But we were not able to do that. So instead, we will announce the winners here.
And tell you what, if anyone on this list that we give an award to DMs me, I'll give you a free drawing. How about that?
But they have to pay for shipping, though, right?
No, I'll pay for the shipping. That's cool.
You'll pay for the shipping?
Sure, why not?
Jesus, that's like giving away a free piece of gold to somebody. But what? Yeah, okay. You're crazy, but now will you give them a drawing of themselves?
Maybe. I don't know. Let's just wait till someone actually DMs me first.
Okay, I'm sure Solo.
We should start at the bottom of this list, huh? Biggest news.
That's what I was.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking too. So here's how we should do this, Justin. We'll go in different order. I'll announce this one, and then I'll say my winner. You can do it. You announce the second one, say your winner. I announce the third one. I'll say that. Does that make sense?
In the order that we have it here?
Yeah, I'll direct us as we go.
Yeah, okay? Go first, and then you'll show me the way.
So I'll show you the way. Okay, we have we kind of have we have our categories, and then we have quote unquote nominees. But these aren't really nominees; they're just people we threw on the list from brainstorming that do deserve the attention and do deserve the acknowledgement. Some of these is like this one for biggest news. We only have 3 things written here, but there's actually like what we just talked about, like Tony buying ROH and stuff like that. Those are big news too, but there are a few that really stood out. And, so yeah, the first one we have here is biggest news, which it's like, now that I look, we have biggest news and best news, but we'll say biggest news. So the
little crossover there.
Yeah, the biggest news of the year, I'm going to say this was my thing, okay? And this was from my perspective here. And I can't see the world from your perspective. I tried when I took peyote, and it didn't work. And so the thing is from my perspective, while the Vince McMahon thing is technically, like, you'll look back in the history, the most talked about thing is what I'm going to call the biggest news. And for me, the all-out CM Punk Elite thing was the biggest news of the year. It was non-stop talk. People are still talking about it to this day. Every podcast dedicated. In fact, you and I had to purposely minimize it because it was so talked about. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think that's the biggest news for the marks, the nerdy wrestling fans that we are.
Is it just the bubble that I'm in?
I'm in your bubble, but I don't think there's anything as polarizing as Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
An undead Vince McMahon no longer in power in WWE is, I think, just that's people that weren't wrestling fans were talking about that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and it did start with, New York Times article. which is pretty much as mainstream as you get. By
or
the way,
Wall Street Journal or something.
Or excuse me,
something
Wall
like
Street Journal.
Yeah.
I'm green and you're blue on our highlights there.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yeah. So if Vince McMahon DMs me, I will send him a picture.
You will send him a picture. You have a few Vinces, right?
I have actually. I just sold the Bang 316 picture, but I do have a Vince. I think.
Send him a picture of Antonio Inoki. I think he would like
do that.
So,
Antonio Inoki obviously is a huge story as well.
Which was our other one, and massive story. There's only a couple more people that would die in wrestling that are bigger than him. You got your Hulk Hogan and we don't obviously want that to be news. You never want it to be news that a wrestler died, but when Inoki died and we got to do that Inoki episode and we really went into his life and learned about him more, I learned a lot from that. I mean, didn't you? I mean, it's just like, whoa.
Well, it's just one of those things where you realize how much influence he had for things you don't even know about, right? So,
I mean, remember the North Korea stuff, dude? And then, like,
the North Korea stuff, the MMA kind of blending. And also, I think there was an element...
relationship?
What's that?
The Baba relationship with Giant Baba?
But there was also an element of his theatrics and almost like a sports entertainment element that he had as well, right?
Definitely sports entertainment. Yeah. For sure.
So to call him the Japanese Vince McMahon would not be too much of a stretch. Yeah.
And actually probably a better wrestler than Vince too. Not quite as good a heel, but better wrestler. Now I will say we don't need to agree on this. We have two winners here. If we had to agree, we'd probably be here all night and yell at each other. And we don't want that. So biggest news is the CM Punk All Out fuck up and Vince McMahon.
Well, we got the best news, right? For next?
Yeah, the best news here. So go ahead, talk about that.
So for the best news, like we said, there's going to be a little crossover. So we have Vince McMahon stepping down and Triple H taking over WWE Creative. As you hear a siren in my neighborhood and maybe some like I said, I had to preface this. I think I said at the beginning of the show. My kids have a friend over, and they might be a little loud here and there. So
I didn't hear them that much. I'm sure we'll hear more sirens because of the air. We might hear a car crash or a homeless person.
Right. There's some rain in it. We're gonna have some. We've been having rain here. Kenny returns to New Japan to do the Ospreay match. Big news in our little bubble. That's for sure.
He hasn't showed up yet. So do we know?
He's on the card.
He could break his ankle on the way.
Card subject to change. He could have gotten really injured in that match you were at the other day. Shibata's back-ish.
Who actually wrestled.
And he recently had a Tom Lawler match, I believe. Some type of
He did. He beat Tom Lawler in a
I Quit match?
No. It was an UWI rules match with no head strikes allowed.
Nice. Oh, okay. Forbidden Door is opened with this kind of crossover thing we're getting. Big deal. Forbidden Door itself. We have guys kind of crossing over. Even the WWE guys coming to perform at the Tokyo Dome this year.
The term Forbidden Door nowadays, someone said it was bastardized, and I'm like, no, no, it's not bastardized. He's like, it should only mean when a New Japan guy wrestles, and it's like, no, actually, the wrestling landscape has opened up with a lot of companies, but we're seeing a lot of politics lately, so that door might be inching closed with some companies, AAA lately. So
right, it's gonna be something that opens and closes sporadically. So
it all depends. Remember, we saw Noah versus New Japan earlier this year, right? We saw Forbidden Door. We see DDT guys wrestling in AEW alongside New Japan guys, alongside.
Right. That stuff will probably continue. And then, of course, we had, Stardom and New Japan finally having that little X in between them. And kind of crossing over and collabing, if you will.
We talked about what that happened earlier this year.
Yeah, we talked about that. And then just the Cody Rhodes saga. I know it's kind of calmed down since Hell in the Cell when he
but it was
was kind of out.
It was huge.
Huge deal that AEW had its first quote-unquote defector, go back to the WWE or go to WWE from AEW.
And not only that, but come out the other end even better.
Yes, he ended up going back to a place that his character just fit better for that crowd, and I think it got a little abbreviated because of his injury and whatnot, but of course, he's definitely one of those guys to watch for 23.
For sure. He just did an announcement on Raw.
Right.
So
yeah, he did, didn't he? Is he going to be in the Royal Rumble? Is that what he announced?
That has not been announced yet.
Okay.
So we'll see.
And of course, we hinted at earlier Tony Khan buying ROH.
We talked about that.
A lot of talent in WWE, and in AEW have a huge history with ROH, and we said it's kind of a work in progress. That was a big deal, and then we finally saw Stone Cold Steve Austin actually have a match at WrestleMania, which was not a lot of things we had, not really anything we thought we'd have on the bingo card.
No, I remember him saying he would never wrestle again. Now, I will say this, dude. In hindsight, it was not a real. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors there, right?
Right, but it
was a match, though.
Turned out great. For what it was. That's another thing. I didn't really need to see Stone Cold wrestle again. The guy's in his mid-50s.
That's kind of what made me sad, is that he's like, I'll never wrestle again. I remember hearing him saying, I already was at the peak. What else could... He said, if I wrestle again, then I'm going to say what's next after that.
Arguably, Stone Cold Steve Austin is the biggest wrestler in history. And I've been watching a lot of that 98, 97 run. It's unbelievable how much he held that universe in the palm of his hand. You should really go back and watch it, because there's nothing like it. With the way Stone Cold was loved in the crowds with him, there was nothing like it. It was unbelievable. Right. Not even the Hogan's was big, don't get me wrong, of course it was, but the way that the show and everything just revolved around Stone Cold, even with The Rock kind of sprouting out. And I was always a Rock guy when he was a heel and all that stuff.
Stone Cold was a result of Hogan, because back then there was that backlash of, oh, do you really want your positive babyface guy saying eat your vitamins? That's lame, And so Stone Cold was the anti-hero.
Exactly. And it's just that perfect timing between his character and the way that society was. Anyway, just at the time.
You're right.
Anyway, so just his best return. News, I see that we kind of have this one in common. Obviously, this is another thing kind of like on a bigger scale with Tony buying ROH. It is a work in progress still, but I think we've all wanted some fresh ideas and eyes on WWE's product. Are we back to watching it every week? No, not yet. But getting Triple H and
have we been watching their pay-per-views though? Yes.
Yes.
And we've been watching a lot of those live. And
exactly.
And I mean, we were the type who would not watch pay-per-views live and just see how they were, and then maybe not even watch them afterwards. I mean, Justin, you and I were not watching Stomping Grounds live. I doubt we even went back and watched much of it. Okay, I watched it live, but no. Now, I mean, we're talking. So we're already making plans to watch Royal Rumble together.
Well, every year I would watch Royal Rumble.
But we watched Survivor Series live. Mm-hmm. We've gotten excited for some of these big matches. Hell in the Cell,
Mm-hmm,
so. Yeah, Vince McMahon taking over WWE Creative, as Justin alluded to. No, we're not watching. Triple H? Yes, Triple H.
Triple H taking over.
Triple H taking over WWE Creative. As just alluded to, we're not watching every week. I definitely am watching more of the YouTube stuff. And like when it's like Gunther and Ricochet, I have gone back and watched a lot of stuff. So, even tonight, John Cena was on. I'm probably going to go back and watch that match. So,
I don't give a shit about John Cena, but I'll take a look just to see if how they booked that.
You don't give a shit about John Cena. John Cena's
not really
awesome.
A Cena guy.
What do you mean, dude? John Cena's very talented, dude. He's
I'll watch the
Peacemaker.
Talkers. Peacemaker's tremendous, but
he's
I'm just not into the
in WWE history.
He's whatever.
See, dude,
my uncle despises him, and
wrestling fans have taken a U-turn on John Cena.
I've never really liked John Cena, to be honest with you, but I understand his appeal and stuff, and I appreciate that. No, you can't. I'll watch the Peacemaker. I love that stuff. I can't even get my uncle to watch the Peacemaker, and I know he would love it. He hates John Cena so much that he won't.
So I'm imagining he was not a fan of Money in the Bank when it was Cena versus CM Punk.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying.
He hates both those guys.
So it's like shit versus doo-doo.
Ugh, I don't even... he would probably pick Cena over CM Punk, though. Like I said, he's called CM Punk the worst champion in the history of WWE.
I will say, Cena does have extremely corny jokes that he still does to this day. And I do not get the stupid jokes like, oh, my email address is Pretty Little Pony at Candy. And it's like, come on.
Anyways.
Yes, but we agree. Triple H taking over WWE Creative. NXT's improved under Shawn Michaels, which has a lot to do with Triple H too, I believe.
Hey, man, it's just cool that these people that, we kind of were kids watching are now in charge. It's kind of like with my favorite hockey team, the LA Kings. Like, two of the players that I grew up loving and idolizing, they're my favorite Kings ever, are now kind of running the team behind the scenes, Luke Robitaille and Rob Blake. So it's kind of like that kind of thing, I guess.
Although Shawn Michaels, the Avalanche eventually.
Hey, we beat the Avalanche the other day. Kind of with Joe Sakic in the Avalanche. Yeah. Well, the Kings were down 4-2 going into third, and they came back and won in a shootout. It was a big win for the Kings yesterday.
We'll wait until the Stanley Cup champions.
Hey, man, like everyone was asking me last year, I predicted the Avs. I told you the Avs were winning the Cup last year.
What do you predict this year?
I haven't seen enough yet to really make that decision.
As long as you don't tell me it's a Florida team, I'll be cool. Tampa Bay.
Well, Tampa's always good, but I want to say that, I need to do a little more before I make a research, but Carolina's been really, really good.
Always hope for the Kings, but be realistic.
Yeah, no, you're always going to get realism out of me. Carolina is kind of my early pick right now, but I haven't seen enough to where definitive...
Hurricanes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitively, I see all these teams in person. Last year, when I saw that Colorado game, I'm like, Colorado's the best team. McKinnon's still hurt, right? So, they need to get him back. But, last year, from the teams I saw, the Avalanche were the best. And I knew going into the playoffs, I said, hey, man, I don't know who's going to win the Cup, and I know the Avs are the best team I saw all year. So if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick them. So this year, so far, it's Carolina, but I haven't really nailed it down yet.
Well, I want to say this. The worst team is the Montreal Canadiens, okay?
And they were the worst team last year, too.
Disappointing year last year. And
2 years removed from being in the Cup Finals, too.
Wow. Well, since we're on the topic of disappointments...
yes,
I
great
I want to talk about the biggest disappointment this year. So there was actually quite a few of these. We had the CM Punk press conference backstage fight. Now, if you're a fan of Jim fucking dumbass Cornette, you'll probably think this was an awesome moment in wrestling history. I thought it was a huge disappointment. It made the company look bad. It made Punk look bad. They got in a fist fight backstage. I mean, this is just not a good moment for wrestling.
Or just the fact that you had such a great thing going and you fuck it up like that and you couldn't make that work.
Yeah.
I'm not even like putting blame on anyone, even though we kind of have in the back of our head, but it's like, how could you not make that situation work?
Well, and
that's where the disappointment is.
You win the championship after your big comeback, all that stuff, and then it's straight into this negativity and disappointment and
or just
all this stuff.
From the wrestling fans' perspective, it's like, man, why couldn't that have worked out? Like, it was very disappointing.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's like a dream scenario that did work for a little while and was successful. And
it didn't even make it a full. I made it a little over a year, didn't it?
Yeah, no, because of the injury. Take that out. So no, it didn't make a full year.
Right. I guess it would have been imploded sooner.
Yeah. So
what else we got?
We got Jay White Okada build, which has happened in the last few months. Really, we've got the main event of Wrestle Kingdom that most of us are there to watch. Most of us are there to watch Ospreay and the other matches. So, disappointing. I don't know if I call it the most disappointing of the year now that I read it, but disappointing. We've got
anytime our favorite, biggest show of the year in our bubble, the main event isn't what you would want it to be. in terms of the build and the anticipation, that's a disappointment, you know?
Yep, for sure. We've got Adam Cole injury, which was a concussion, and he has been out for a scary long time.
It just sucks not to see Adam Cole, you know, one of the best wrestlers in the world out there, yeah.
Yeah, Vince McMahon, and that's as far as his... You know, that could be disappointing for some WWE fans on the Switchway. I don't know but a lot of old-timers.
But you can just call his behavior disappointing, right?
And that was the main thing, his behavior.
I don't think it was necessarily him having to step down. It was more like his behavior and what the allegations are kind of a disappointment, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. We have Ring of Honor on streaming. Ring of Honor talking about getting a TV deal ends up being on basically ringofhonor.com. So not a great look for Ring of Honor.
Maybe a little bit of an overpromise, under-deliver situation, but like we said, it's all fluid and it's in progress. So
yeah, and we're kind of waiting on that too. Maybe it's great.
I just kind of fixed that because we had Jay White build, but I think I just edited it.
There were two of them, and I noticed that.
Yeah.
Jay White title run. Again, he's been... Usually these champions in New Japan have these awesome runs, whether even Shingo having a few matches or,
Yeah, it feels like they carry the company for a while, at least when they have that title.
And Jay White
they put the company on their shoulders.
A lot of time in America.
Yeah.
He hasn't really had match after match, awesome defense, and all of a sudden, I'm kind of hoping he's the lamb to the slaughter this next week here, and we will.
Yeah, we might see him in the Royal Rumble. Who knows? But his like I said, he spent a lot of time in the States.
Every wrestler that
I do not.
They might be in the Royal Rumble.
Who else have I said that about?
Every wrestler that we talk about, you're like, well, maybe they'll be in the Royal Rumble. Like Kyrie.
I never said that.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't. You said that about Carl Anderson, didn't you? You said that about AJ Styles like years ago, dude.
I didn't even know you.
Well, he did end up in the Royal Rumble. So.
Anyways, Jay White's hot run was disappointing. Spent a lot of time out of the country. He's not even there yet, and he wasn't on the road to. I don't know the circumstances behind that. I know a lot of
the tags were not that great or compelling.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been on Strong. At least he's had some kind of presence. He's given every time he has a microphone or whatever. He's fantastic and all that stuff. But just a little disappointed. I thought he'd have a little more of a workhorse run. I know Jay White's not known to be like a Strong style. It'll be a great match and all that.
It better be. It better be following what it's following. So yeah, Carl Anderson. So. You guys know this, Carl Anderson, who... This isn't so disappointing, actually, in hindsight, because he did kind of go back and defend the title, but his matches haven't been that great. And this is New Japan specifically. He had the Never Strong title, signed with WWE, couldn't defend the Strong title because he needed the payday in Saudi Arabia. No offense to that, brother. I don't blame you for that. But... It's just been not the best look for him this year, and been a little
I think some of that might have been by design, to be honest.
I highly doubt it.
I think it's kind of the treatment of... Yeah, it seems like he's just kind of hovering through his matches in New Japan this year, and like, why did they keep the title on him all this time when they could have had someone else with it? And just, him going to Japan and then getting another match out of it at the Tokyo Dome. Like I said, I think some of it can be by design in terms of that, but just we have high I think Carl Anderson has, always
high standards,
presented himself as a pretty good in-ring wrestler, right? Someone I always appreciated his ability, but just hasn't delivered on that. I don't blame him for. I see that's the thing we're talking about.
I don't blame.
We
him
have
for
another
going
story
and
similar. I never blame anyone for that.
Like, no, dude, you go to Saudi Arabia, they're probably making tens of thousands of wrestlers. I mean, the company's getting millions of dollars, so
but
it's like...
I just think he seems like, it seems like a mailed-in effort, but I don't know the story behind it, and I think behind the scenes he really wanted to do right by New Japan and all that, but yeah, I think it's been disappointing. The quality of his matches, especially in Japan.
So we have a lot of nominees here. There were a lot of, and we say there's a lot of disappointments. There's a lot of great stuff this year. So don't get us wrong, but we have a couple people leaving promotions. Jonah leaving New Japan. We just found that out recently. It is weird to see him beat Okada and then go on to be the Miz's partner. Huge downgrade for the guy, but also maybe a huge upgrade because now he's being seen by millions of more people.
See, that's where I'm not like people that actually get upset at Jonah Bronson Reed online about leaving New Japan. Like,
yeah,
fuck off. Like,
I might do the same thing.
I don't understand. Like, I'm disappointed because I loved him in New Japan. I love what they did with him in New Japan, but I'm not like mad at him personally. Like, who would like? Good. I'm happy for him personally if that's what he wanted to do and go on to that. Great. I'm disappointed from a fan standpoint because I really loved him in New Japan. I love what they were doing with him.
Exactly. But from a
New
personal
Japan,
and business standpoint, it's
I'm actually super happy.
Shake the guy's hand, pat him on the back.
I'm super happy. Like, I'm not like I don't take it that personally.
Yeah.
But it was a disappointment to see him leave. Absolutely.
Yeah, we had Cody, which is the flip side on best news or biggest news. Cody leaving AEW. Disappointment for a lot of people. We had Ric Flair's last match. Disappointment for...
And Cody, you can also say his injury was a little disappointing. Like, he was just getting hot and...
True.
And, so yeah. All stuff that he can... Though. All of the stuff I think that 2023 can be that much bigger for him. But it was disappointing at the time to know that he was going to be out for the rest of the year.
So we have Ric Flair's last match, which was widely hailed as a disappointment. We had a Rampage, which this year, Tony's always said when he has new belts or new shows, there's no such thing as a B show or B belt on this company.
That's what they all say.
And this year he has shown us more than ever that Rampage is a B show, sometimes a C show. Now, I think it's getting a little better recently. We had the Takeshita match, and this week we had the match between Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta, which was great. So it seems like it's improving, but it's for a lot of times this year. I mean, you and I didn't even watch Rampage; we just totally skipped it, right?
I mean, yeah, for the most part. I mean, occasionally I would catch that first match, on the card, but there was some big matches on TV, it. But yeah,
unlike NBC on when Seinfeld was on. Was that called Must Watch TV or Must See TV?
Must See TV.
Right?
Must See TV. Thursdays, yeah.
No Ibushi. Ibushi, who injured himself last year, has been nowhere to be seen. And you could add to that disappointment the frustration that Ibushi has had with the company. Now, I want to add a little news into this, though. Ibushi was at Wrestling Bomaye, and he sat right next to the president of New Japan.
Interesting.
So, also, Kenny Omega wore a Kota Ibushi shirt at his match on Dynamite.
Okay.
So, we can only hope that's a little teaser, right? Can we just hope that?
Sure.
Let's hope that. Next we have, and I'm just going to say it, this is going to be my winner. This is former WWE wrestlers in AEW. This really bothered me for some weird reason this year. I don't know why. It bothered me because for a little while there, every couple weeks, it was another fucking story, dude. It was, you had it, and it's still going with Miro, right? You had the Andrade situation. You had
Aleister Black
situation. I mean, that was... Luckily, that seems to have been smoothed out. I just watched him wrestle on Wednesday. Great wrestler, by the way. You got to see him ever?
As Tommy End did PWG, yes.
Okay, you've seen Tommy End. Yeah. Awesome wrestler.
Oh, he's great, yeah.
Luckily, things got smoothed over there, but I was getting real tired of hearing about the backstage nonsense and all this shit. And I know it's like, well, you don't have to listen to it. I know. I listen to podcasts. I hear it. And rarely does wrestling stuff actually bother me. This stuff kind of bothered me, where it's like these people that are like, they sign a contract for 3 years, and a year in, they're like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to work here anymore. I don't know, bro. This kind of bothered me this year. It really disappointed me. Just the kind of unprofessionalism and trying to make a public spectacle out of it. It bothered me, man. It really, and it's not an AEW tribal thing, because honestly, I like whoever's doing good. It was just I think it was just the kind of seeing these guys just change their opinions like so quickly and stuff. There was a great post from Rob Viper recently that I won't get into that commented on a lot of this stuff, and it's the idea that WWE was number one, is number one, and until people realize that it's respectful wherever you work, there's going to be an image problem for AEW. So I could go more on about this, but I'm just going to say that this was the biggest disappointment for me, was the WWE wrestlers in AEW.
Okay.
After that, we had Ronda Rousey, who had a pretty bad year. We had people calling for her to be fired. Very unnotable year, right? Like, who was talking?
I mean,
who was even talking about her?
I've never really been a fan of hers, but so I'm
I think it's reaching a breaking point, though.
Yeah,
for a lot of fans, a lot of wrestling freaks.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the Ric Flair thing. I wasn't really expecting a lot or wanting a lot out of it, so. It's just
low expectations, so it doesn't really.
I think disappointment, like you have to have some kind of high expectation of something that lets you down. And I'm not let down by Ronda Rousey. I'm not let down by Ric Flair's last match because I wasn't really expecting any enjoyment out of him to begin with.
Yeah, I gotcha. We had another thing on the list. I took it off. I just, as we talked about this, I don't think it belongs there. So
it's fine. But my biggest disappointment, not only for my own personal gratification, but just for the company itself, is I think the CM Punk backstage fight is the biggest disappointment in my mind.
That would probably be my second. That was just, God, man. It was
how could you not make that? Like, it was so predictable because a lot of people were saying this wasn't going to work from the get-go, and I just hate when people are right about the negative things, but it's just so cliche for that to happen, and so, come on, guys. How do you not work that out? But anyway, let's move on.
I agree. We like to be positive here. Well, you do. But, sometimes there are disappointments, although this year was more about the best things. So why don't you move on?
Best. Yeah, let's talk about the best storyline. And there was a lot of good stuff. And
there's probably more than we have written here, and I'm sorry for you guys that are listening that are like, oh, you missed the 3-year storyline between A and B, And so we have just a few things written here. But
I'll run through them. So, obviously, coming off the biggest disappointment, we did get it though. We got Punk and MJF, and a lot of us, from the minute CM Punk came back, we were saying how much money and how great a CM Punk MJF program would be. Just give both those guys a microphone and just let them go, and we saw that, right? Yeah. And it was great. They had a great dog collar match to boot.
That finished it off, right?
Yeah, finished it off. It was tremendous.
It was
and we
really,
got
though, that Battle of the Mics that you're like, okay, two best promos ever, go. And
absolutely.
It was like totally what you wanted. I think there's a YouTube video that I've not watched, but it's like the history of the Punk MJF feud, where he goes over every, I might have to watch that. I'd probably get goosebumps watching that, because that was one of those things where, for me, I work at night, right? That's one of those, when they say Punk versus MJF on the mics, I'm getting my phone on, and I'm at least listening.
Absolutely. So. And same with CM Punk. Whether you love or hate him, you want to hear what he has to say. This is I'm going to kind of skip this one, because I have a feeling we're both going to pick this one, so I'm going to keep it till last. But Cody returning, the crowd pop from the WWE crowd, it was just one of those things where...
I popped. You popped.
Yeah, okay. But I think
it was Royal Rumble.
It was one of the most, AEW, or this is where you see that there is kind of a difference between the AEW stands and the WWE stands, right? And Cody made the best decision for his character that he wanted to portray, right? For his gimmick or whatever. It played way better with the WWE crowd than it did for AEW. So when he came back...
He was being booed.
He was being booed. And him coming back to Cody Return was huge. He had that great moment with that giant bruise. You can buy the drawing on inringart.com. It was a great moment, and it's going to build for 2023, of course. Then we have Okada Ospreay, which had a great series of matches this year, right?
Great series of matches this year. This is a story that started years ago at the G1.
Right. Very New Japan style storytelling we're talking about here, where most of it is told in ring.
In the ring, yeah. Which are some of the best stories of all time, in my
eyes.
Right,
which there's subtleties of outside the ring stuff, as, originally being in the same faction and kind of breaking off from there, but obviously it's very in-ring based with storytelling in New Japan, and obviously that's delivered some of the greatest in-ring moments in the past 2-3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, this is something that kind of recently transpired. My wife made up a good question. Why are they ending it? I don't really know the answer to that.
That's part of the story. That's part of the story.
So, the end of Suzuki-gun. It's not because, Minoru is retiring or anything like that.
Well,
but
we
got some really interesting moments at the end of these shows in the last couple weeks that have been very emotional and very interesting and all that stuff, and that's been one of the biggest stories of the last quarter of the year for sure.
I mean, yes, and Suzuki-gun being around and really being a staple of our watching of wrestling. They only announced the end recently too. It's not like we had a full.
There wasn't like any subtle hints of them disbanding or other than just being apart for the whole year. But I think the New Japan roster has barely been intact the last 3 years, anyway. But wasn't it earlier this year where Taka finally returned as well, right?
If that was this year or not last year, because they were... It could have been last year, but...
Anyways, one of the most popular factions in Japan announcing being disbanded.
And talented.
And still a lot of guys at their peak.
A lot of guys in the faction still have the gimmick of the black and white. Everyone dresses that way and stuff, so it's going to make a huge change. This might be on our list next year, depending on what happens, right?
Yeah, definitely, as the beginning.
We will see, especially people like Zack Sabre Jr., Del Desperado. What is going to happen? Is El Desperado going to be in chaos now? I sure hope not.
Or in Los Ingobernables. We'll see.
Yeah.
FTR on a title run. So FTR was built up as these kind of belt collectors at the beginning of the year, which has slowly kind of disintegrated. So I think that just adds into the storyline is kind of the opposite of some other kind of title building things where they have them all and then they lose them all slowly. Maybe we're heading towards that. Their lack of use on AEW has been kind of a...
And that's what I was going to say.
A mystery.
Almost big disappointment, because it's like they're kicking ass all over the world except AEW. Now the Acclaim have a lot to do with that. Right.
So we'll talk about them in a little bit, and of course MJF's return. At what show was that? All Out.
All Out, actually.
Right, with the mask, the Joker thing coming out to "Sympathy from the Devil" by the Rolling Stones. Really awesome moment.
And then we had.
And now he's got the title. So
with him.
Yes, and then leading up to the William Regal thing, very huge. We all knew it was just a matter of time before MJF was, at the top of that company. And they probably, made it happen a little sooner than they wanted to because of what we call the biggest disappointment, or what I call the biggest disappointment. And of course, who can deny the rise of the Acclaimed? It's kind of simmered down a little bit recently. But the rise of the Acclaimed,
well, I don't
and
know.
the whole
They're having a pretty normal feud coming up with Jeff Jarrett, and but this is the thing I like about Champions is they
I just think it's crazy that it's 2022 and we have
23 now.
Jeff Jarrett and Billy Gunn.
Jay Lethal.
And Billy Gunn.
Oh, and Billy Gunn. Yeah.
Involved. But Scissor Me Daddy Ass. That's what we title it.
It was such an organic rise. It reminds me a lot of Becky Lynch. The other nice thing about it is they didn't have to turn heel to get this huge pop. They stayed babyface. They were heel in the past, actually. But they stayed babyface. They came up with this dumb fucking catchphrase, and it caught on. And yeah, this week there were tons of "Scissor Me Daddy Ass" shirts everywhere. As
biggest selling shirt of the year probably at Pro Wrestling Tees.
One of them, probably right up there with CM Punk. So those were the best stories, guys.
Yeah, well, and I think this is the best. We both are in agreement. Even though we haven't been week to week WWE watchers.
Oh, I watched this week to week.
And I think I explained this to you when this happened at Survivor Series. This is when WWE's style of story, where a lot of it takes place in and out of the ring, and there's a lot of emotion and all that stuff, and skits.
A lot of realism too.
Yes,
as far as a person that's been there for a while, becoming one of the more top people, and being with the top act.
Right, and just seeing like it's sticking out like a sore thumb, and that's been the Sami Zayn bloodline. His stuff with the Usos and looking for acceptance, and the honorary Us stuff. It's all been tremendous, and it's been the most intriguing storyline in all of pro wrestling, in my opinion, and I think you share that with me.
I share that with you. I'm getting goosebumps hearing you talk about it. This is one of those universal stories, just like the Stone Cold, the everyday man against the billionaire, your boss. This is one of those universal stories about acceptance, and being, an outsider. And it's ongoing. We have yet to see what happens. So again, this is one of those this might be the story of the year next year too. But man, it started good, and it's gotten better and better. They're I'm going to say acting. They're in their promos, and their acting has been incredible. The improv that they've done, Sami Zayn making the whole crew laugh. Everyone has played their parts perfectly.
The unintentional stuff's been tremendous, yeah.
Special shout-outs to Sami Zayn and Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, who have been
absolutely
super standout. But even Solo Sikoa has played his role.
But that's going to be a big thing in 23.
It's going to be huge. And you know what happened tonight, right?
No.
They were Paul Heyman cornered Sami and was like, "You're getting too big of a reaction out there, dude.
You're overshadowing the tribal chief."
And but the tribal chief said, "Hey, I'm cool with that." So
hey, I gotta. I'll be right back. I've been drinking a lot of coffee, so you know what that means. I'll be back in 1 second.
Do your drink, and I will talk about the next thing, and I'll fill you in when you get back.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, we all have to take piss breaks here and there, guys. I might have to take one soon. I'm not sure. Justin's taking a small break right now, and that's when I, Mr. John Ensman, take over. By the way, guys, I won second place in this year's Filthy Tom Lawler Song Contest for Filthy Tom and Brian Alvarez of WrestlingObserver.com. Filthy 4 Daily Show. I got second place. I wrote a little tune for the Geek of the Week theme song. And go listen to that. If you guys aren't subscribed to Wrestling Observer, just let me know. I'll send you a copy of it. But we're going to move into our next subject here. Our next subject we're going to go by pretty quickly. We have most underutilized, and we don't need to talk out all of these. We'll just say it. We've got House of Black, FTR in AEW, Andrade, Miro, Jungle Boy, Brian Cage, Jonathan Gresham, John Silver, Hook. John Silver, that's a great one. And I'm taking Hook off of there because, yeah, he's not utilized all the time, but he's still really good. Lance Archer. I'm going to say Bandito because, my God, man. What happened to him, after Jericho? He had this great match, and then he was in the tournament, and then boom, gone. Just disappeared. And that is what happened to Bandito after. So I did that quick rundown, Justin. I said we don't need to talk about all these guys, but most underutilized. I took Hook off the list because I don't know if you or I said this. Look, he's been on a lot of shows. He has the same match every time. He's still building. He was just on Dynamite this week. I think he's been right where he needs to be honest.
Okay, I think he's just they're trying to figure out his personality. Gosh, let me go over this list. We
got House of Black, FTR, Andrade, Miro, Jungle Boy, Brian Cage, Jonathan Gresham, John Silver, Lance Archer, Bandito. Some of these guys are, your WWE.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with House of Black, especially. I would almost say that underutilized. I would just go with Brody King.
Yeah, well, and then I would say
alone,
the same
but House of Black overall, yeah.
Malachi, because it's like this is a guy I could see in the main event picture, at least as a challenger already.
How come? Have we seen Bryan Danielson and Malachi Black yet?
No.
God damn, that would be a sweet.
And on top of this, they're already talking about who. Okay, the Elite's probably going to win the Trios Championship in LA. That would be the best story, I believe. Right?
Okay. Well, there you go. We're in agreement on this one.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm trying to say is that people are asking, well, who are they going to feud with next? And House of Black isn't really in that conversation. These guys need to be in that trio mix. Fuck it. Do a 3 out of 5s. I like that format, by the way. I mean, if it's that good.
They should just always have this going on.
Or at least maybe 3 out of 5s or something.
Every time someone wins the titles, they just go on to a 3 of 5 with the next contender.
Because in AEW, the trios in AEW might be like some of the best trios. And in fact, I'm just going to say they probably have some of the best trios in the world besides WWE and like Judgment Day and Damage Control. But House of Black, we had a long stint where they didn't even wrestle because we had backstage stuff that we don't really know about.
Allegedly leaving the company,
wanting to leave, and then we didn't know what was going to happen. But I'll tell you what, man, when you have a trio and Buddy, what's he called nowadays?
Buddy Matthews.
Buddy Matthews
Holiday,
is the worst wrestler in the trio. You've got a fucking good team, dude.
I agree. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely the most underutilized. God, last year. I'm trying to think of what I said last year. I think it was Serena Deeb. And you know what? She got more used this year. So, and maybe it was also, I forget, the Pure Champion from a few months ago. But, Daniel Garcia. So,
right.
I feel like House of Black is much more underutilized than either of those guys were last year. So,
agreed.
Pretty unanimous decision. By the way, guys, tell us your feelings on all these. We'd love to hear. You can hit us up. I am at John Ensman. Justin is at In Ring Art. We are at Wrestlin Pod everywhere. Let us know how you feel. Let us know if you agree with us. If you think we are totally off the fucking mark. We'd love to hear your opinion on all this.
Even though it's probably wrong. But we're about halfway through the list here. So let's
keep on moving.
Yeah, best new wrestler.
Now, by new, we have to... because it's
in the spotlight. You might have, I remember this guy from 5 years ago, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about new in the spotlight, being kind of featured in the mainstream here. So, first on our list here, not, in necessarily any order, of course, is Takeshita, right?
Takeshita.
And the stuff he's been doing with AEW especially, where he's just looked tremendous. Him and his little mole in his nose, that's the guy right there.
Is that a mole?
I think so, some kind of mole or birthmark or something.
I've got little skin bumps too, but okay. Skin tabs.
And anywho, been great.
Let's
Everything he's done has been great.
Conversation about that. Okay, next.
Ren Narita.
Yeah. Son of Strong Style as the rebrand.
Son of Strong Style has been tremendous in his work. A very Shibata-esque in his presentation.
He looks like him, he wrestles like him, and we like that.
We like that. We love it. Been tremendous and very impressive. He's got a big match coming up in a few days to start out 2023 with Zack Sabre Jr. for that NJPW TV World title. So that'll be fun, and we'll see where he goes with that. Done a lot of great stuff on Strong. Had a really great match with Judith Robinson. It's been tremendous. So obviously he's a big star for them in the future. Leading to another big star, Son of Red Shoes, right? Shooter, as he's known, or Roughneck, or whatever, and that's Shota Umino.
Yeah. Keep talking. I'm changing pants.
I mean, this guy is really, if you're looking at the foreshadowing, he had some really good matches with Will Ospreay. You know, he's been somebody who you can tell the company has some really, really big plans for. Maybe we'll see.
Great history with Moxley, which has to come to a conclusion.
And I love how that ties it together. He came with that Death Rider jacket. There's a lot of possibilities with crossover for that. We could even see a Rainmaker Shock with this guy at some point in the near future. Roxanne Perez, who I believe was from ROH, who is very young.
Very young and very, very good. I probably watched more of her than you have, I imagine. Women's champion in NXT right now, beating out Mandy Rose for showing her boobs. Incredible wrestler for her age. We're talking like a young boy age of 19, 20. Well, you know, you can't drink
20, 21, early 20s,
matches
we'll call it.
Than, you know, every other person on your crew. So
yeah. And going back to that bloodline, Solo Sikoa, right, has been doing some great work, and he was well, you can almost make him underutilized in a way, but he was
he got put in a pretty good spot, Justin.
He's put in a pretty good spot, although you don't really, maybe he deserves a little more spotlight for how good he is in the ring, but definitely has a bright future, and part of that bloodline and all that is there's a lot. One of probably the brightest young stars in WWE right now.
Did you hear the story of how he found out he was main roster?
No.
Like they told him that night as he was at the arena. So
no kidding.
Pretty.
What, you thought he was just gonna watch? Yeah.
Well, they just brought him out to the arena for something, and they're like,
they didn't tell him why until he got there.
Now you're part of the blood. It's like, yeah. So probably made his dad proud.
I mean, he had to eventually get involved. He looks exactly, he looks like an Uso, so
he does.
There was no way to deny it at all.
Are you saying you can't tell them apart? Okay, go ahead.
No, I can tell them apart.
I can't tell,
but they look so related. I'll put it down.
They do. They look like cousins, and they are. So,
and kind of carrying on to who we just talked about was Hook. Hook's got a great gimmick. He's got a great theme song. He got, what's his name involved? That's
Bronson.
delicious. Action Bronson, who's a great rapper, and they got him kind of involved.
How about Rick Ross calling Swerve a big motherfucker on live TV, by the way? That's just a side note there. That was fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if you can really call him a new wrestler, but I think he's been new to the spotlight, and you see a lot of... If we had a most improved category, I think he would go well in this, and that is Hikuleo.
I have my opinion on this. I don't think he should be in this category. I think you wanted him in here. I don't think he's that improved because I feel like every year we say he's super improved.
And Carl Anderson made him look like shit too in that last match in his defense. But
I think he's good. I think he's
good. But who's this last person? I don't recognize that name.
This is Sol Ruca, and I can't give her the win right now because she's only been doing some cool stuff recently, but this girl has some real talent. She has one of the coolest finishers I think I've ever seen. I'll show you it after we talk. Let me tag that up here. Amazing finisher, gymnast, great skills in the ring. Very much a natural, in my opinion.
When I see a Google search and I type her name and it says finisher is like the biggest search, then it must be pretty cool.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, like when I started typing her name in the Google, there goes the sound. It says finisher. So
we'll wait till after we record and we'll talk more about her. But she only started like a little bit ago, and she was featured on Level Up in actually a really good match. So we have much more to see of her, but from the beginning, it's looks awesome. She looks like she could have some great stuff here. So let's hear what you think, Justin. Who is the best?
Man, I'm gonna go with who I see having the highest ceiling, and that's Shooter.
Okay.
I think Shooter has the highest ceiling out of any of these guys. Because I honestly think he's going to be IWGB heavyweight champion within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's very good. I've been a little influenced by Meltzer, who kind of has said he's still missing something. And
I think he's going to get it, or they're going to. I think they're going to shoot him to the top at some point. Like I said, I can see a Rainmaker shot come with him at some point.
Yeah, you mean him beating Okada,
or just in general, like out of nowhere winning the title.
Yeah,
and just saying, "Here's our next young guy." And then you got Tsuji, who can come back as his first challenge any minute now. And if they're ready to
about him next year because he looks awesome.
So I think if they're looking to hand it off to the new generation, you got Tsuji, you got Shooter, and you got Narita ready to go for New Japan.
Tsuji is so fit too, by the way. Like these
heading into 2025, 2026, those could be the top 3 guys in the company.
Well, by the time that someone like Naito is a New Japan dad, I mean,
Naito's a New Japan dad coming up at some point.
Tanahashi is a New Japan grandpa.
Yeah. You'll still have Okada. You'll still have Ospreay. But those 3 are going to be the domestic talent there that are going to be carrying the company in the next 3 or 4 years.
Tsuji, yeah.
And those guys have enough of a contrast in their characters where they're the next ones. They're the next Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito.
Yeah, well, saying the next Okada is a little crazy because that's like a once in a generation.
Well, I'm just saying, it's those top 3 domestic talents. Those are going to be the next 3 big domestic talents for the company.
The other thing is, remember, New Japan is known for the amazing wrestling, but amazing wrestling doesn't make a great wrestler. It's part of the package, and Shota can go, but he has a lot of charisma, especially for a Japanese guy. I mean, I shouldn't say that because a lot of Japanese wrestlers have extreme charisma, but what I mean is he can actually talk, and he can, in ring, like, compared to Narita, who has that silent sort of, that silent sort of thing that Shibata has, where he's just doesn't say much and kicks your ass. Shota has a lot of out-and-out charisma.
Yeah, right now I'm seeing a little too much of a Tanahashi presentation. He almost looks like he even has like kind of a Naito haircut in a way. Yeah. Very handsome dude. Also, I want to see a little more of that Moxley influenced edge in his character. I think that could really benefit him. But a lot of why I'm calling him best new wrestler is because I really feel I have no idea less of an idea than anyone else here with resources or whatever, but I really feel like they have big plans for him. That's one of the reasons why best new wrestler, because I just feel like they have really, really big plans for him.
Yeah, I agree. He is great, and he is definitely one of the best new wrestlers. Someone I forgot, I put Yuta on here as well, because
Wheeler,
he's had a great fucking year this year, and his match against Moxley getting into the Combat Club was so amazing. Good.
Almost, you could have put that in best moments of the year too.
Yeah.
The
one
bloody
of my
face.
favorite matches of the year.
Yes.
It's a match that I love to show non-wrestling fans because it's a simple story. This is the young guy trying to get into, and most people that have watched it have been like, dude, this Moxley guy is fucking brutal. I'm like,
yes, he is.
Well, just keep watching. So
Yuta, bet new to the spotlight, has been great. He was in the best of the Super Juniors.
He was.
I was hoping he would have. I would almost put his run in the best of the Super Juniors as a little bit of a disappointment.
A lot of the Americans in the best of the Super Juniors kind of was. But,
in terms of the AEW establishing themselves. But anyway, it's not really that big of a deal. But yes, Yuta definitely belongs on that list.
Yeah, and by the way, he's
wearing
Misawa-inspired gear.
He's wearing what?
Misawa.
Oh, right.
Gear.
Very cool.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, with the green.
Yeah, the green and the silver. So I'm going to say my best new wrestler, which previously was Takeshita, who I think is a fucking awesome. The problem with Takeshita is while he has had multiple great matches, Takeshita has also not been pushed. He loses a lot. And he always looks amazing losing. But we need that moment where he finally beats Jon Moxley, you know? That breakout moment for him.
We'll see. I mean, he's signed exclusively with AEW now, allegedly, so we'll see if that lets them, put a mainstream tag on him, but we'll see.
Totally.
But yeah, he's definitely awesome. He has not been a disappointment. So, yeah, I guess we should move on to Best Show now, huh?
Well, I didn't say who my...
Oh, shit. Go for it, please. I'm sorry.
My best new wrestler is Roxanne Perez. Been watching NXT over the years. She's one of the best parts of it. One of the craziest things is her age. 10 years from now, she'll still be young in wrestling.
It's funny because the correlation, she kind of reminds me of like a Kairi Sane in her, like, you know, she has that just like innocent doll kind of face.
Yeah, she's got the innocent face, but she can talk too. I don't know if this matters so much to people, but she has the Latina, heritage. Which
I think WWE is always looking for that type of influence for their numbers as well. So yeah, helps her.
Yeah, it's Dragon Lee. But yeah, she was great this year. Like all her matches were good, and then to top it off, at the end of the year, she wins the title on an episode of NXT. It couldn't be better. If you had been following her through the year, it made you cry. So even though not someone who like debuted this year, definitely got the spotlight shined on her, and she's the head of the division now down there. I mean, this girl could be a locker room leader at the age of 20. So incredible debut. I can't wait to see her on the main roster in a couple years. But for now, keep her in NXT. Let her do what she does. Let her wrestle. So yeah, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, the next one is the best show. I want to write AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, but I'm not going to do that. So we did. It was hard for us to find like all our favorite episodes of Dynamite, so we didn't really include any weekly TV shows.
Like Night 7 of the G1. We just didn't really feel. Yeah. We were too lazy to do that research.
Because we knew there were a lot of great shows, but it's like Cage Match was having me. Maybe someone needs to teach me how to do Cage Match a little better. So
right.
we had AEW Revolution, right? Earlier this year, and that was the CM Punk dog match, right?
Dog collar match, great show. Yeah, AEW rarely disappoints or underdelivers on their pay-per-views.
Yeah.
They only have 4 a year, so that makes it a little easier for them not to do that. But
just to clarify
never a
for
disappointment.
People, this was when we had Eddie Kingston against Chris Jericho. We had the CM Punk versus MJF, and we had Adam Page versus Adam Cole, and I loved that match. So,
tremendous. Great stuff.
Great stuff. We had the World Tag League and Junior Tag Final, a recent show, and I thought those tag matches were great, man.
Oh, they were great. They were both great matches. The Tag League final was great, and Leo Rush gave a great promo afterwards about it being the greatest moment of his life, winning that, and just really makes the credibility.
Bishamon making themselves look like they belonged in Wrestle Kingdom, and
just
table
guys that look
and stuff.
As a tag team, they're just so awesome, incredible, and I can't wait for their match with FTR.
Absolutely.
So they basically just made us look so much more forward to Wrestle Kingdom with tag matches. So show over delivered in that. Like now we're even looking forward to them in their matchups at Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Yeah, and that was something we were all ready to be disappointed about. I can't wait till Aussie Open. But this match showed Bishamon is very serious, and this is one of these guys we were making fun of years ago as a fucking joke. So Yoshihashi now really moved up his career, one of the most improved wrestlers of the last couple of years.
And coming to his own as one of the biggest strikers, too.
What?
But he's a great striker, underrated striker.
Okay. Maybe we need to make a category. Survivor Series War Games. You had 2 War Games matches. You had Ronda Rousey against Shotzi, which we won't talk about.
Nope.
Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, which was a great match.
Not because of Shotzi, by the way, but carry on.
Well, possibly because of her. Just because you're a fan doesn't mean she's infallible, dude.
Well, Ronda Rousey sucks, but go ahead.
AJ Styles defeated Finn Balor. Okay match. But the Bloodline and the Brawling Brutes, that amazing War Games match. Women's War Games match was good. The Triple Threat match was great. This was a great show from WWE.
Honestly, this is where you had kind of, I don't know if I would call it the culmination, but a big chapter ended in this Bloodline story with the acceptance of Sami Zayn. very well booked. This is where we talked about earlier, the whole overall. This is when in-ring storytelling, WWE style, works out perfectly, right? That whole ending of that match was just it was just perfect. And it overall made the show shine. It was a great match. The women's match was great. Everything else was pretty solid. It was probably WWE's best show of the year.
Oh yeah,
for sure. They had some other good ones. With the Castle one was pretty good.
Clash at the Castle. Yeah,
Clash at the Castle was really good.
Deserves a mention. And is that on our list?
WrestleMania was pretty good. Royal Rumble was pretty good, but I think this was their best show of the year for sure.
Didn't love WrestleMania because Brock Lesnar won, but yeah.
Outside of that.
So we Survivor Series, War Games, All Out. We had, besides the bullshit that happened afterwards, don't forget this one, guys. We had CM Punk against Moxley. Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro defeated the House of Black. Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson. I mean, there was so much good stuff here. You had Tony Storm win the... No, that was not a championship. No, it was for the interim. For the interim,
yeah.
Yeah, we had Swerve defeated the Acclaimed. This was an awesome show. Sadly, it will become more known for the story afterwards. And don't forget, you had the Kenny Omega's return, right? No, he returned a little bit before this for the tournament. But
right.
It was the Elite versus the Dark Order. And that match was amazing, too. And Eddie Kingston versus Ishii.
Yeah.
So, great night of wrestling. We had Wrestle Kingdom. Now, is Wrestle Kingdom one show, or is it... How does that work? Well,
technically it's two, because if you can buy a ticket and go and not see it all, I think a show needs to be...
okay.
You can buy one ticket for it, so...
So, Wrestle Kingdom, we had Night 2 and Night 1. Actually, there were 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, but we're going to say that Night 2 and Night 1 were on the list. You had Katsuyori Shibata go against Ren Narita in a controversial match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they switched it up.
Where they had a real match.
Yes. Ish. You had the classic Evil defeated Ishii. No, I'm just kidding. You had El Desperado against Hiromu Takahashi. Awesome match. And you had Okada against Shingo. 35-minute match, which is like a dream match that we got to see. So that was Night 1. Night 2 was Okada versus Ospreay. A match that a lot of people think is the best match of the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Naito versus Jeff Cobb, Tanahashi versus Kenta in that no disqualification match that we'll never forget because it was so violent. Suzuki defeated Owen Cimentoriano for the KOPW set. A lot of stuff there. These are shows that mainly, I think, were important for their last couple matches, and the entire show was not always that great, but they were fun watches for me.
No, I mean that was Wrestle Kingdom was great this year for sure.
Yeah,
both nights.
And we are in Wrestle Kingdom fever right now. So,
yes,
we had Battle Autumn, awesome recent show. And of course, there's recency bias here, people, because stuff just happens and we get excited. But man, this Battle Autumn was great. You had Will Ospreay defeated Tetsuya Naito. They had a great match. FTR defeated the United Empire. They kept their championships. We had Okada defeat Bullet Club. Master Wato and El Desperado defeated Taiji Ishimori and Hiromu Takahashi. So they had a tag team match getting ready. Zack Sabre Jr. Oh, that doesn't matter. But Ren Narita defeated Sonata. That was awesome. So this match was really cool, and there was some pretty important stuff I thought that happened on the match that I can't find or on the show. But
well, of course, we'll talk more about Naito and Ospreay later. But this was a great show too, and I don't necessarily think. It definitely over-delivered. I didn't think it was going to be a terrible show going in, but it was definitely better than I thought it would be, and it was really good.
Yeah, for sure. Takataichi Mania, and I mean the recent one, not Takataichi Despy Mania, which was also actually pretty great, but the recent Takataichi Mania which you had the KOPW match between Tai Chi and Shingo Takagi. Great Texas Death Match. Great. And you said you have not seen that yet, right?
Have not seen that.
Not seen that. You had a death match with, I'm just going to say it, pretty much Suzuki and Akai, Jun Akai. So, great match. You had these women's matches. Suzuki, incredible. I am definitely a fan of hers now. This was like one of those unexpected shows that just, blows you away, top to bottom, where it's just like a lot of these guys you don't even know. And being surprised in wrestling is great. When you see someone you don't even know and you're like, holy shit, they're actually pretty good. So, a great show. Do we agree on the winner here, Justin? Do you think?
I think if we're talking about this one last, then yes.
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce it?
Yeah. We talked about this earlier as being huge news, and that is the Tanahashi coined word, the Forbidden Door. This show was a huge dream for all of us fans, and it's almost easy to forget about how good this was because there's been so much good stuff since then. But I
think a lot of what made the show great was we were kind of a little disappointed with how it was being put together, and it over-delivered.
It had a really quick, month
abbreviated kind of build, and I think when we kind of looked at it, we'll see what happens, but it ended up being so good, and I think a lot of us came out of saying, man, it's going to be tough to top this show, and it came at the right time. It was right in the middle of the year, where we're still remembering it, and we had a lot of stuff happen before in the year to where it was put in a good spot, and I think it just blew us away. We all thought it was going to be a pretty good show, but it really just hit it out of the park.
And let's just say here, this is where Claudio made his debut. That was awesome, too.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of good moments, a lot of great moments here.
And, we talked about our little bubble. Like, obviously it wasn't the most bought show. It wasn't the most popular show.
It actually did really well, though, dude. It actually did really well in pay-per-view. So,
well, there you go. I guess that's part of it.
This actually beat their expectations, and it was up there with a lot of the other AEW pay-per-views for buys. So,
but in our world and in our bubble, this was in my opinion, and it sounds like yours as well. Show of the year, best show of the year.
Yeah, and you had just dream matches or dream people being put together all across the show. Dream builds. You had Moxley versus Tanahashi. You had Jay White against Adam Page, Okada, and Adam Cole. It's like, what? What?
Yeah, that happened.
That happened. You had Claudio versus Zack Sabre Jr. That's another what the fuck. And that was a last-minute replacement. We were supposed to get Daniel Bryan.
It's Bryan Danielson. And we were also supposed to get CM Punk and Tanahashi, which would have been great.
Crazy.
Yep.
Ospreay and Aussie Open against...
So there was, like I said, there was a little disappointment with not getting Danielson, not having CM Punk on that show, and it just over-delivered.
Yep. Ospreay defeated Orange Cassidy. I mean, it's sad
that
when Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy is overshadowed, like, on a show like this. Like, I almost forgot about that match, and it's like, no,
and a lot of people felt like, didn't think that was going to be a great match, and it over-delivered. Everything on that show over-delivered, to be honest with you.
There was a new tag team that debuted. Had you ever heard of these guys, the Dudes with Attitude? That was Darby Allin, Sting, and Shingo. So that was a new tag team that formed. Hope to see
that was a lot of fun. And Hiromu didn't make it either. Hiromu was supposed to be on that show too. So you had a lot of things that didn't work out, and you were going and saying, "Oh, we don't have CM Punk, we don't have Bryan Danielson, we don't have Hiromu Takahashi," but it all worked out and over-delivered. You know what I mean?
Pac defeated Clark Connors, Miro, and Malachi Black. I mean, Roppongi Vice, FTR, United Empire. Minoru Suzuki teamed with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, dude.
And you brought up Clark Connors had a great performance as well.
Yeah, so great fucking show. Great fucking show. I could watch that one again. I probably should watch that one again because that is, and they're doing it again. So
there you go.
Hopefully, it's show of the year next year too.
And you'll have that IWGP Women's Champion against the AEW Women's Champion. It's going to be great.
You can't do champion versus champion. You'll have to do a fucked up finish, bro.
Not necessarily. Well, whatever.
Just yeah.
Not our job to book it.
Good stuff here. Let's see how long we've been going. We're going 2 hours already. So let's try to get
we're
through
about
these last
10 minutes.
Four,
yeah.
Even though there are the big ones here. Go ahead. Lead us in.
All right, so we're going to go with best
women's
women's wrestler of the year. Saya Kamatani.
Yes.
Who's obviously one of the top Stardom wrestlers. And you help me out with her a little bit in terms of her accomplishments this year.
She's one of the top Stardom wrestlers. She's been with the face of the white belt almost like a Nakamura from a few years ago. She's got a great high-flying style. She's tall. She shows a lot of emotion in the ring. She's just been really a feature of Stardom. When you watch Stardom, you know Kamatani has a match, you're like, oh, this is going to be exciting. Lots of springboard, out of the ring. She does the Phoenix Splash. She does the 450. And just a lot of fun to watch, man. Just great. And her improvement's been incredible over the last couple years. And where she's on our list now, it's just really great seeing Saya up there. Love Saya Kamatani. And love seeing what she does in the future, too. She just might be a red belt winner in a year or two.
Yeah, and then, of course, we have Becky Lynch, who made a big comeback this year after returning from, I believe, having a baby, right? And she got put back right at the top of WWE with kind of this, big ego kind of thing going.
Was that this year, dude?
I think so. Wasn't it? Didn't she come back this year with the Bianca Belair thing? I don't remember. Maybe it was Royal Rumble or... Anyways, she's, obviously if you're at the top of, towards the top of WWE, you're going to get mentioned in this category.
And she was there. She was okay. That was in 2021. So no, this was after she had her heel turn this year. She got injured at WrestleMania. But Becky Lynch, like you said, if you're one of the top women's wrestlers in WWE, like you're probably going to be on this list. I mean, she has a great promo. They finally turned her face, which it was stupid to turn her heel in the first place. So
yeah, that whole Bianca Belair stuff. Yeah.
And speaking of
Bianca Belair, this is probably the workhorse of the WWE Women's Division in terms of in-ring stuff and her strength and physical ability. Like pound for pound, she might be the freaking strongest wrestler on their roster overall. When you think about pound for pound,
she's really made something of herself. She's got her very recognizable kind of gimmick.
She's got the big ponytail. She's got a great look. I mean, just clicking on all cylinders. Probably one of the best wrestlers on there in the world. Women's wrestler. She's great. And then this kind of plays into another WWE star. More of the outside the ring stuff that she's really shined in this year, and that's Rhea Ripley, with the stuff with Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day. Yeah, the Judgment Day thing, the mommy thing. She's been great, and it's just someone that's literally went from this like innocent blonde girl to the complete opposite, dark hair, short hair, all that stuff. I mean, unbelievable. Very physical, and even mixing it up with some of the dudes in that she's been great for sure. And then someone that's kind of had such a hot start of the year and has kind of injuries kind of derailed.
Yeah.
And that's Thunder Rosa. I mean, she was on such a huge run
in 2021 and in the beginning of 2022.
Yeah, and
she finally turned champion.
She finally turned champion. She had some great stuff with Britt Baker that was just really great. She had to kind of chase that title for a while. It was a great storyline. Kind of when the women's division was starting to turn the corner in AEW, was getting better. A lot of that had to do with Thunder Rosa. And a lot of people were poo-pooing on that division the last couple years, but she really helped steer the ship there for a while. Very valuable to that division. And that kind of plays into someone that benefited from her injury, I guess you can say, was Toni Storm. Had a really great year as well. I've never been the biggest fan of Toni Storm, but she did have a really great year. And, she was great as well. And then, of course, this is someone that's made a huge late surge, and that's Jamie Hayter. currently the undisputed champion, right?
Undisputed champion, probably a huge help to the fans who really turned her. And she was doing the job in the first place.
And she's someone with a lot of
working.
She has a lot of in-ring based experience being in Stardom and whatnot, right?
Yes, also someone who physically transformed themselves from being, and no disrespect to anyone, I'm a very thick person. She looks very different than she did a couple of years ago. She was much thicker back then. She put in the work. She lost a ton of weight and gained a lot of muscle. And she looks like an A-plus superstar at this point from the physical side.
Absolutely. Then, of course, we kind of close it out with, 3 other Stardom mainstays, including, we have Tom Nakano, who's going to be on that Wrestle Kingdom card against Kairi, right? Who could probably be on this list too, but of course she had kind of a limited work base to do. But she definitely made a little bit of a late run. But Tom Nakano is great. Hayashishita, right? Yeah, she's definitely one of Stardom's top stars, and she's is she the high speed? No, she's not the high speed champion now, is she?
I don't think she's champion right now.
Right, she's not a champion right now, but she's one of their main stars, and she had that. She was a big part of the crossover.
Yep.
Teaming with...
she's just been one of the top people, the top 3, 4, 5 girls in Stardom, and always puts on a good show. Great look. Just an awesome wrestler, and she's had another good year.
And then somebody probably with the brightest future on the list, and that's Julia, who has just won that Stardom red belt against Suri just the other day. Or yesterday, whatever time zone you're living in.
Just a few days ago. And I want to kind of take that from you, Justin, and I'm going to say my feelings have changed on this topic because of recent events and kind of looking back. And I am going to say that Julia is my best women wrestler this year. The recent red belt win kind of solidified her as this top star that we all knew she would become. Again, the crossover appeal, I hate to say it because of it is partially because of this, but she has a Western and Asian look about her that gives a lot of crossover appeal. She can speak English. Huge deal. Great look. Has wrestled a great year and caps it off by winning the top championship. I would have to give this to any of these Stardom girls, in my opinion. I watch more Stardom than you, obviously, and Julia has come out just looking amazing. I also want to put Shuri on here as well, because she as well was champion this year, and she had a great year as champion.
Well, she carried, honestly, I mean, you're talking about Stardom, you're talking about the best women's wrestling in the world. So, I mean, if Shuri's carrying that title for most of the year, you got to put her on the list for sure.
For sure. Who you got, Justin?
I'm going to go with Jamie Hayter.
Okay.
She made a late surge, but, Julia, I think, has got the biggest ceiling out of any of these people in terms of, Julia is going to play a big part in whatever kind of Western expansion they do with Stardom. And I think the name Julia, she sounds like, wasn't there a Street Fighter character named Julia or whatever?
No.
Well, anyway, sounds like a Street Fighter character.
Can be.
But anyway, I just think Jamie Hayter leaps and bounds. Just kind of, she made a late surge. Both these women made late surges to kind of snag it away from injuries or, well, Jamie Hayter in particular. But I can't go wrong. I can't argue Julia, but I think Jamie Hayter just had a huge.
It's been a huge year. Yeah, a huge year. A late start, but a huge year. Great look.
She was a sidekick of Britt Baker at the beginning of the year, and goes on to basically be the top woman in the division right now. Great.
Pretty crazy and very exciting. Definitely can't wait to see her in the future. And WWE, I want to say, there's some great NXT stuff. There's some great WWE stuff. Damage Control, Bailey comeback. That was all really great. Damage Control has been really cool. Io Sky. I'm so glad that a lot of this talent have been put to the main roster. Recently, you had Tegan Nox go to the main roster. In NXT, there's a lot of great women there, too. A lot of people like Toxic Attraction. Again, Sol Rucka, kind of a new person. You've got Fallon Henley and just Tiffany Stratton, who's new and has been looking good. So there's a lot of stuff to see. Who I believe I'm not going to talk about this on the air, but I think I know why Tiffany Stratton took time off, and I think I shouldn't talk about that here. But anyways, Jamie Hayter for Justin, Julia, but a great year for women's wrestling nonetheless, right?
Absolutely.
Kyrie too, Kyrie as well, right?
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of just like, oh my God, huge standout, but just overall, it was a very big year, and that's actually a good thing. Is there was so much going on that you can't just really highlight one or two things. There's just so many things, so that's a good year.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a good year. Tag Team of the Year. So, Tag Team of the Year, we got quite a few here. We've got, I guess I'll go in, instead of going in reverse order, how about I just put this at the end here real quick. Sorry guys, we are doing on-the-air editing because we're advanced that way. We have Aussie Open, who have made a great impression this year with the United Empire, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've put themselves right on that map of great tag teams kind of in a snap of a finger. I mean, we all have heard of them and kind of saw them flying on the radar.
They've been around for a while.
They've been around for a while, but, you could almost put them in a best new tag team in the spotlight kind of category, like it's a Takeshita. One of them is
really young looking, too.
Yeah. One of them's in their mid-20s and the other one's in their mid-30s. So there's like a kind of a difference there. There's a big brother, little brother thing going on.
They're both pretty huge dudes, though.
Yes, they are.
So.
But they have basically, they've really benefited from being in the United Empire. And you'll see here, there's a lot of United Empire tag teams in this division. If we
had faction of the year, it would probably be
United Empire. Yeah,
them and
absolutely.
The Bloodline.
Bloodline.
Then, but I mean, United Empire was just dominant. So we had the Acclaimed tag team champions in AEW. Breakout year. I mean,
scissor me daddy ass. I mean, come on.
I mean, 2 years ago, Justin, these guys I really didn't have a ton of hope for. I thought they were good, but I thought they would be mid-carders.
Well, I just didn't really didn't hate them, didn't dislike them.
That's what I mean, though. But it's like they were just there. That's
what makes it so amazing, is that they just taken it over, and it's great.
And and when people say the fans make the wrestling, really, it's we look at Jamie Hayter and Acclaimed, and these are people that the fans have anointed, really, and made into these. They got this huge pops and built and built and built, and now they're champions. We've got the Usos. What made you put them on the list?
I mean, they broke the record of the New Day for the biggest tag run. They've been a part of one of the best factions of wrestling. Top 2, 3 great best storyline. They've been involved in almost everything. They've delivered great matches.
Year after year.
Yeah, so they've been in the top. They've been in the top all year, almost the last 2 years. Really, really hard not to have them on this list. And undeniable, one of the best tag teams in the world. And probably, the best tag team in WWE for sure. The last year or two. And hard to deny them that.
No, I agree. We've got the Briscoes. Briscoes had another great year, specifically not wrestling that much, but killing it in every match.
Talk about making the most out of your minutes, right? And, unfortunately for some kind of past Twitter stuff or whatever, the Briscoes have been a little bit of blackballed in terms of getting that national spotlight that, that they could definitely benefit from. And they've been one of the best tag teams for years, of course, and just undeniably great promos and just look and everything going on for them, and putting together a string of just absolutely outstanding matches almost any time you see them. They definitely deserve a spot on this list.
Definitely. You wanted Bishamon on this list?
I just that tag team, two guys that were kind of just going nowhere as single stars, putting them together, guys mid-career, almost like on the beginning of their decline, coming together. Just they got good music they combined and all that stuff. Just thought they've been great. And obviously they won World Tag League. How do you not have the team that won World Tag League consecutive years, right? On this list. And I think they're going to deliver, which could low-key be one of the matches of the night on Wrestle Kingdom. I got high expectations for them.
Definitely is a possibility. Catch 22. Who is that again? Why am I
Catch 22 is TJP and Francisco Akira.
Okay.
And
yeah, they're
I thought
great.
They've been great. I love the dynamic of. We talked about the Big Brother Little Brother, much like their United Empire, teammates or whatever, faction mates. They got the Big Brother Little Brother thing going on here with TJP, who, say what you want about the guy in terms of the stuff he puts out there on social media. This dude is honestly one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he can wrestle any style and all that. And you have like this young guy wrestling with him.
Especially for his age, and he looks like he's still 25.
I know, he's great, and
black don't crack.
Well, he's half Filipino.
Filipino don't. No, let's not even
peel. Filipino don't peel. I don't know.
Okay. I just got cancer.
Anyways, hey, I have half Asian kids, so I did take a year or so ago. No, 2-3 years ago, I took my oldest son to go see him at the Wrestling Guy store, and he got his autograph. We have an autograph figure of TJP.
Okay.
Really nice guy. I've had DMs with him. He's a really nice guy. Just I don't agree with everything he says, but hey, man, that's the world we live in. So,
but you like his art.
Yes, exactly. And he's one of the best in the world. He can do any style. He's great, and they're a great tag team, and they're gonna have a great match with Leo Rush and Yo for sure, and that could be another great match. And they won the World Junior Tag League, so they got to be on the list. They've kind of simmered.
Wait.
Yeah.
They didn't win Best of the Junior Tag League. That was Leo Rush.
No, they won it last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, they're the champs. They're not right now, so they're
the champs. Yeah. So
sorry about that.
We've got Street Profits. From WWE. We've got Street Profits. We've got the New Day. Street Profits. I would edge over the New Day. New Day is now NXT Tag Champions. I didn't think they had that crazy of a year this year. In fact,
no, they just belong on the list because they're still relevant. And Street Profits kind of broke up, or we have an injury with them. But they had a really great run at the beginning of the year where they were giving the Usos a run for their money. Honestly, outside of the Usos, you didn't really have a lot of standout tag performers in WWE this year.
Well, we did have American Alpha, though, and the Street Profits.
That's been great. That's been more of a, a in-ring microphone thing than it has been in terms of match performance, too.
I will say Street Profits, though, are pretty great in the ring. Montez Ford is awesome. And, you always thought of him as the Shawn Michaels of the group. And Angelo Dawkins is actually really great, too. Seeing him live, too, is quite a treat. Those guys can really go.
If we're just talking about best tag teams, they're definitely on the list. But tag team of the year? Not sure.
Yeah. NXT, we had Pretty Deadly and the Creed Brothers. Pretty Deadly coming from NXT UK. Great time as tag team champions. Those guys really have kind of the whole package to be on main roster. They look great with the long hair. They are hilarious in their promos. They're very funny, almost like a little of a DX kind of funniness, except with all the stupid humor. I really like these guys, and I hope to see more of them. I think they had a great year. The Creeds also. Just crazy stuff. You want to see some crazy shit that you should never do in a wrestling ring, you should watch these guys. These guys do moves that they get banned from doing next week all the time. I see the Creeds are absolutely crazy. They've done stuff that I'm like, why? I've never seen that on WWE. So I'll have to send you some stuff of them and see some of their banned moves. I also have to add the Elite and the Death Triangle, right? These have to be two of the best tag teams of the year.
Well, yeah, Elite with their late run and what they were doing at the beginning. Yeah, absolutely. And then the Death Triangle for really just kind of stepping up when the Elite, got suspended or whatever, have really carried that 6-man division
and just having
most of the year.
This tag series is how often do they do 4 out of 7? Not often. So this is by default the best 4 out of 7 series in wrestling history.
Definitely. Yeah.
Justin and I were. Did we say this on air, or did we say it's like fuck it, just do 3 out of 5? Yes, we said that for the Death Triangle.
Yes,
like, let's just see this every time nowadays, because I love tuning in and just knowing, oh shit, I'm getting a badass trios match tonight on Dynamite. It's like exciting every week. So and
right.
They some of their matches could have been a match of the year for some people. So definitely great. We might have to, with the talent in AEW, we might have to do best trios next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see how that, and of course we could have like a New Japan stuff as well mixed into that. So
because there's 3-man teams in, I think, Ring of Honor and in New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is one of the first places besides Mexico to take a trios belt quite seriously, so it's pretty exciting in that sense. It's not a throwaway title. My winner of the year is just FTR. I mean, these guys went on a tear this year. They had great match after great match. We've got more of it coming up next year in a week. So super exciting stuff. Their trilogy with the Briscoes was awesome. I loved the first match the most. They had a violent dog collar match. They did all different styles. They just went to Mexico. These guys were like Kenny Omega a few years ago when he was going to every country, you know what I mean? These guys are really in their true prime as a tag team, and I love seeing that.
Yeah, and you're kind of getting that kind of stripped down thing as part of their story right now, and they've been all over the world winning titles and losing titles. I mean, yeah, they've been great. Absolutely.
It's interesting to see if they will be in AEW in a few years.
We'll
but I guess
see.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, or anywhere, to be honest. But
yeah.
No, they're a close second to me for sure. But I'm gonna go with the Usos.
Nice.
Because I think they've delivered in ring, and they've been part of great outside the ring storylines, and they're in WWE, which is the top company. Yeah. I think you just can't. If the Usos, I can't be talked out of it in terms of that. I mean, Aussie Open got some consideration from me, FTR, but I just feel like the Usos just stood out in every category.
Yeah, and again, I say this especially with the storyline. I think Jay really delivered in the storyline section, which the Usos were always a great tag team. Really, since we started watching, they were always good.
Yeah, and they're double champs, and they've been that way. They have the longest title run, too.
They have the record. They beat the New Day. But even their acting and their storylines have been great. It's like they've been put in all the best situations. This is the best year of their career, I would say.
Absolutely. And their best year without painted faces, I guess.
Ooh, so they still do that though, right? Ooh,
a little bit. I don't know.
Do they still say day one shit?
Ish. A little bit.
Okay.
We the ones is what they do now.
We the ones.
Yeah.
I thought that was like the Cleveland Bengals. Anyways, Cincinnati Bengals.
That's Who Day.
Who Day.
I think.
Okay. Yeah. What is Who Dat?
Who Dat, or that's the Saints.
Okay. I'm worried.
I think. Anyways, who cares? All right, we got best match, right?
Best match.
So best match. Okay, we kind of looped in this one, Okada and Ospreay. They had a great G1 match, right? And then they also had an outstanding match at Wrestle Kingdom. God, I wouldn't be mad at either one of those if someone picked them. It's hard to make an argument against that.
With Meltzer, they were like the top two.
Yeah, so, I mean, not mad at that.
Surprise.
And of course, this was a Dynamite, which I believe, right? Swerve in Our Glory versus the Young Bucks versus Hobbs and Starks in kind of a 3-way tag match.
Yep.
And then we have another Swerve in Our Glory match against the Acclaimed, right? Which was great for the tag titles.
This is, I believe, when the Acclaimed won?
Yes.
There was a couple, weren't there?
Yes, and Swerve in Our Glory for his mentioning in 2 matches and not to put him on the list of tags.
Let's throw him on the nominees right now. Just verbally. Okay.
They're in the nominees.
Definitely Swerve in Our Glory.
They've had a nice storyline with her. They broke up, are they not? as well. So there's been a little outside the ring stuff that has made them a little spicier as well. And
I
of
think
course,
Swerve is just incredible, and then Keith Lee on top of it is like a double dose. You got the contrast.
And on the fly, I'm going to throw a best match that we don't have on here, which was Yuta Wheeler versus Moxley on Rampage, I believe it was.
And we talked about that too. That match is incredible. That's
and
one I showed it on Wrestling Fans.
And I've said this over and over again about matches in our broadcast, like in our episodes. To make a great match, I need that great visual. The visual of Yuta Wheeler holding on a ropes with that crimson mask, as they call it. Mm-hmm. Great imagery that this match offered.
My imagery from that is Mox just getting fucking dove on at the start of the match.
There you go. And then if you want to talk about some imagery, let's talk about at Takataichi Despy Mania, El Desperado versus Jun Kasai in the death match. And both of us are not huge deathmatch fans, but
in
this
fact,
one
I dislike it most of the time.
Yeah, I have to go with you a little bit on that as well. But we could not look away at this one, and the ripped mask, the middle fingers.
What's great is he's worked his way with that gimmick. He obviously doesn't care showing his face that much. He's done it with Hiromu. He does it. It's still not overused at this point. Like every time he brought it to 11.
Yes, absolutely. And then we had a more recent one in November at Battle Autumn, which was Ospreay and Naito. I mean, they talk about Naito, kind of his knees being bad, not in the best shape in the world, but god damn did he deliver this year.
He wrestled the most in New Japan this year.
Yeah,
dude.
And at every spotlight he gave, he did not disappoint, and this match was just unbelievable. The storytelling with the Ospreay neck. Naito's just one of the best in the world. Ospreay might be the best in the world right now. I mean, this match was a little bit under 30 minutes, and it was absolutely incredible, and I loved it. Yeah,
it was just great. I could watch that one again and again.
And leading to this match, which was at Battle for the Castle, what was it called?
Castle
Attack. Clash of the Castle. Gunther versus Sheamus. Now, this is one where someone hasn't watched, maybe somebody like us, where we haven't watched WWE for a while and we fell in love with the New Japan style. We go, hey man, you got to watch Gunther and Sheamus just smack the shit out of each other for, 17, 18 minutes or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Holy crap, was that great. Of course, the imagery of Sheamus's red chest afterwards.
And the image for me is that I will never forget is seeing these two dudes beat the fuck out of each other while their teams around them are doing dives out of the ring. Yet the two opponents don't notice any of that because they are too busy fucking each other up. So it's like
very good. That's where the kind of the WWE kind of nonsense in the background works.
I feel like they're pulling that kind of that's getting from that PWG style with some of that stuff.
There you go.
A little bit of influence there. So yeah.
And this was from Money in the Bank back in July. I thought was a great match. Was the Street Profits and the Usos. It was a little bit of false finish city.
Okay.
And one of the best tag team matches of the year. It was great. It was a really great match, and I think it went on really long too, if my memory serves me correctly. Very great match. Probably the best tag team match. One of the best tag team matches of the year. Really loved it. And of course, something that offered us one of the biggest moments of the year, which was Jonah versus Okada in the G1, where Jonah won and stunned that crowd in Osaka to the point where they actually made noise when they weren't supposed to.
They definitely made noise, and Jonah was a shock to the Japanese audience when he does his torpedo. Yes. You had people gasping.
And I hope WWE does it when he steps down and they shake the ring with the camera. I love such a cool thing.
Oh yeah,
they make him look. I hope WWE steals that. Great stuff. I mean, obviously one of the biggest moments of the year.
And their match at Declaration of Power was awesome as well.
Absolutely. And of course, this is another one for the visual sense of that giant bruise, and that was the Seth Cody Hell in a Cell. Great stuff.
This match for me was not as compelling as other people said.
More of a theatric match, more of a presentation match than it was like execution.
It definitely was pretty shocking. When in fact I saw your drawing of it before the match, my first reaction was, no, God, no, he's not really injured like that, or something like. I hope to God that's not really what he looked like. And you're like, no, or maybe you said go watch, and I was just like, oh, that is brutal.
And I also wanted to throw the 2 dog collar matches in here as well. The MJF and CM Punk, and then also the Briscoes FTR got to be on this list as well as
so
on
again,
this list.
With our lack of cage match skills, best match, and I do keep track of this stuff. I do have my 5-star match, counter and stuff like that. So we're probably missing stuff. You might be able to tell us, what about this match? And Justin and I will be like, yeah, actually that was the match of the year that we forgot about. But we tried to make a pretty good mix here of stuff. So that Seth and Cody Hell in a Cell. Shit, the Seth and Cody WrestleMania match was great too.
It was. But you know what I'm going to go with? I'm just going to say it. Ospreay Naito at Battle Autumn.
Ospreay Naito Battle Autumn.
That's my match.
Remember what your match of the year was last year?
It was the tag match with the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers.
Yes,
the cage match.
That's right. That was.
I think we shared that sentiment, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Ospreay Naito Battle Autumn. Second time these guys had wrestled. It was shit. If they wrestled now, it'd still be new to me. Amazing chemistry from the get-go, right?
Absolutely. And they teased it a little bit in their G1 stuff. Personality-wise, they just match up really well as well.
Doesn't matter who's playing baby, who's playing heel. These guys are just 2 consummate professionals. Yeah, and again, Naito with the most wrestled in New Japan. Kind of crazy.
It is.
But it also makes sense. So, this is kind of crazy for me, man. I love New Japan, and I love the 30, 40-minute, singles matches. They are my favorite thing. These AEW tag matches, though, heavy PWG style, have just been fucking me up this year. I just absolutely love them. They've not only got the PWG ridiculous fast-paced action, but they are telling stories in a lot of these matches. And this is from someone who has really hated the Young Bucks years and years ago. And
hated?
Yeah, I really hated them when I first saw them. And they were doing the crotch chops and the too sweet.
Sure.
I thought it was really lame. But this was a match on Dynamite. Swerve in Our Glory versus Young Bucks versus Hobbs and Starks. Now, I still haven't seen that Trios match on Dynamite, so I can't really rate it. I saw it live, but I need to see it again on Dynamite. That was awesome, but I don't want to get too much recency bias here. So maybe next year I might do a star on that one and be like, actually this. But that Swerve in Our Glory, Young Bucks, Hobbs and Stark match, I must have watched that match 5 times, man. It was the Swerve in Our Glory is so good. We were seeing the moves off of Keith Lee. We had Hobbs and Stark storyline that was kind of working, and it turning into that feud, and then you had the Young Bucks. Yeah, I absolutely loved this match. People might be surprised, how can you give a Dynamite match a match of the year? But I really have to look, what match did I just was obsessed with this year? And I went back and watched it. Last year I thought one of the best matches was what's it called? Tanahashi versus Shingo, and that's a match not a ton of people talked about, but shit, it's the match that really moved me. And I wrote it down on my Google Docs. I write down this stuff, and I just wrote this match 5 stars. This match was absolutely incredible. I loved it. So
awesome. Yeah, can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. So Ospreay versus Naito and Swerve in Our Glory versus Young Bucks. Thank you guys for listening, and we are... Wait a second.
We got one more. We got the big one here, I guess.
Oh, we forgot the biggest one. I did. Go ahead. Let's hear it, Justin.
So...
Or is it my turn?
Best male wrestler of the year, right? I think it's... it's your turn. Take us home, John.
Best wrestler of the year. Again, a little bit of a small list. We probably could have added a ton of people to this. But this was a great year in wrestling, and there were a lot of great wrestlers this year. We had Chris Jericho, who had critically the best career he's ever had, Justin.
Well, that's what he calls it, and it's hard to
to argue with that. He reinvented himself 4 times this year, yet again.
Yeah, and he's just been like, he shows no sign of creatively like giving up or anything. I mean, the guy's still, he's one of those guys, you see these guys in their 50s, late 40s out there, and sometimes you're like, give it up, dude. But I don't really get that sense with Jericho.
He blew a fireball in people's face, dude.
Yeah, he did. He was the Wizard cool. This year. His nickname at one point there was the Wizard. I mean, it's just so great. He just leans into all this stuff.
Les Sex Gods. Remember that?
And you know what? Let's also say that he was probably one of the guys that after that backstage brawl probably really kept things together for the
as a locker room later. Yeah.
Yes. So let's some of his backstage stuff I bet you is very important to that company as well.
I feel like he is very politically important. And he's dedicated too. And he's dedicated to whoever he works for. Mm-hmm. And Chris Jericho's awesome. I think he's been on this best wrestler list year after year since he probably joined New Japan. So, just God, I just want it to keep going. I will watch that guy all the time. You know, you're getting a good match. Even when you're not sure, like you're going to get one. We had Brock Lesnar. I think you put him on this list.
Well, I mean, he won the Royal Rumble and he won at WrestleMania. I'm not even really a Brock Lesnar fan.
Goofy Brock, and no, it wasn't Money in the Bank Brock with the boom Brocks, but it was Goofy Brock without Paul Heyman. He was a cowboy, kind of a farm rancher guy, right? And he used a tractor in the match, or a backhoe,
something like that. And for a while, he was doing some funny stuff with Sami Zayn and all that. So there was some comedy Brock. It wasn't quite the dancing with the boombox, but he was doing some funny stuff this year and just being more of himself, it seemed like, and was probably one of his better years personality-wise.
Cody Rhodes, another year that we've pretty much talked all about Cody, right?
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered the Cody saga for sure.
Cody, but you guys understand by not a reinvention, but a change of atmosphere and a good choice for him. It was time to leave the
just territory. making the right decision for his own personal career.
Yeah, absolutely. Braun Breaker, we haven't said a word about him all night, but he had a great year as NXT champion, had a lot of great matches, and if this guy is lined up to be the next, I don't know if I think he could be the next John Cena. Probably not. He can't talk as well, but he's had a great year wrestling. And
I mean, he's got to be on the short list of guys that take out Roman Reigns eventually, right?
Yeah, definitely. Eventually he will. And he's still champion, so he's still going. Love to see some more interaction with... Who did he beat? Dolph Ziggler for the NXT title for a little bit there.
Right.
Interesting year. But no, he's had some really good stuff this year, and when he pulls off his shoulders, his shoulder straps, and does the big spear and stuff, it's really great stuff. Sami Zayn, again, someone who we've talked a lot about, but gosh, just someone that was one of the best baby faces I had ever seen in WWE. No lie, in NXT. Mm-hmm. Now becoming another baby face in a whole different way. I thought they had ruined his career when they changed him, to be honest, man.
Well, listen, I mean, if this award was basically just off of like storyline prominence and all that, Sami Zayn would run away with it. His outside the ring stuff was, I mean, what was Sami Zayn's best match this year? Right? That's how high he shined to get on this list with his stuff that he was doing outside the ring. Yeah. Of course, when he was in the ring doing matches, it was great. Maybe? Yeah, War Games, whatever.
It was heavily storyline. So
heavily storyline, he's up there. But hey, that's part of pro wrestling.
And I think we're going to get more into that as we go. It's not all about being the best in-ring wrestler. It is.
But if Sammy is on the TV when I'm going around, I'm going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I could say that about every guy in this list. I might pass over or turn the channel. But if Sammy was there, I'm watching.
Yep, I agree. Another guy who's always on the list is Okada. He was champion this year. Sadly lost it, but it's been
won the G1.
Won the G1. It's been a slow build recently. Now, did he win the G1 2 years in a row? All right.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so that's another huge thing. I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm sick of New Japan. Okada's always on top." Okada is a guy you could push for 5 years, and I will be totally okay with that. Like I'm okay with him beating everybody.
Well,
like,
he was the best guy to hold that title going into the 50th anniversary year, and I'm surprised. I think a lot of us thought he might have held it the whole year.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be the Inoki celebration coming up, and he's also changed his moveset and stuff to have some Inoki stuff in there. He's doing an Enziguri. This guy really can't go wrong. When he's put in that... And he's different from a lot of these other guys. No, he's not a big storyline guy. He is good at long matches, and he is the best at that, maybe besides a few other people we'll talk about. But... another great year for him as well. We go to the opposite side of the spectrum as far as not necessarily wrestling, but talking. We have MJF, who's had great matches too.
He's had great matches, and I think he's someone who, because of another guy on this list, was basically, I think, they were going to hold off a little bit longer on his rise. They had to shotgun it because of certain circumstances, I believe, and
you can just say it because of another person
CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Yeah, because and we've covered CM Punk enough. He's on the list just because he's had some great matches. He was in the main storylines, and his comeback was a huge story. So CM Punk, let's get rid of that. We've talked about him, and MJF obviously probably the brightest future of someone on this list. I mean, one of them.
Yeah. No, I would say the brightest future for sure. The age, something you all know. If you're listening, you know that, and you know that he belongs in this category along with the next guy, John Moxley. God, one of the best years of his career as well.
Absolutely, he hasn't been at the top the whole time, but he has
most of it though, right?
He's been one of the rocks for AEW. When he skipped vacation to come back and he's just been there. Another guy, you talk about Jericho as being the locker room guy. I think Moxley has his equal importance to that company.
I think I know that for a fact, and I will talk more about it in a little bit here. Next, we have the top WWE superstar, Roman Reigns. Again, he's probably in one of the best storylines in wrestling, and being the top guy and part of that storyline. His heel character work has been awesome, yet he's still cheered. He's probably cheered now more than he ever has been, Justin.
Well, they finally got it right with him this last couple of years. Since the pandemic started, they finally got it right with him. The Bloodline thing, the Paul Heyman thing.
Mm-hmm. All the catchphrases, with the tribal chief, acknowledge me, all that stuff.
No more suffering succotash, no more believe that.
Oh, stop. Dude, I actually watched an old Shield promo from back in the day, and they actually positioned him as, like, the dumb guy. He was all like, us stay together
He was the
forever.
Muscle. He was the muscle.
But it was like mental issues type of, it was bad.
He was the muscle, but, this is stuff they should have done years ago, obviously. The only thing cheesy left with him is the Superman punch.
I love the Superman punch. Dude, I love when he cocks his... This is unironically. When he cocks his arm like a shotgun and says, ooh, that shit is bomb, bro. Why would you ever say something bad about that? You're wild. Anyways.
So here we go. I think maybe since this is the last guy,
yeah.
Are we in agreement on this one?
Let's hear what you got to say.
I mean, this guy, sometimes with his attitude and his personality that you see, you don't want to like him, right? Or you want to...
I've never felt that.
You want to be foo-foo about him for some reason.
Because of something that happened a few years ago that...
Everything Will Ospreay does in the ring is the best match in the world. I mean, any of these guys, I mean, Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. He's a pretty good promo. He has an established character and gimmick and personality. He's in one of the most accomplished factions. And I just think what puts him over the edge of someone like Roman and a lot of these other guys in this list is just every match is outstanding.
Whether it's a tag match beforehand, whether it's a match in England that maybe not a lot of people get to see live. This dude killed it in every company he wrestled for. He killed it, and he's lucky that he's still wrestling for Rev Pro. He killed it there. He had great matches with Ricky Knight, Michael Oku, Speedball, Mike Bailey. There we go, Mike Bailey.
Yep.
Definitely an amazing year for him, and just a match of the year after match of the year from the beginning to the end of the year. A lot of these guys were like, he had a really great start of the year. It's like, no, he had a great whole
consistent year. Yeah, and you know what? There's no reason why he's not going to do the same thing next year.
Yeah, and the year after that.
Very injury.
I mean, it's pretty wild, man. I think that's a great choice. This was a category that for me was like daily I was thinking about it, you know what I mean? It's like every day it was like, okay, and I thought, okay, no, it should be this guy. And I think for the sake of for making a little bit different and also having trouble highlighting here, and that's okay. I think for the sake of things being a little bit different and also just to talk a little bit about him, I say Jon Moxley because here's the thing.
I'm not mad at that.
I do think Will Ospreay has had the best wrestling matches this year, by far, probably. I mean, everything has been great. But Moxley has done a lot of stuff. I mean, not only had great matches, also great promos, also held a company together, also sacrificed himself for
his personal life, yeah.
And I think what did this for me was Wednesday night, to be honest. Moxley came out 3 times on the show, okay? He came out and wrestled, killed it, had an amazing match. Then he came out and did a promo later, fucking killed it. And then finally he came out and he gave a promo after the show, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And, it put a tear in my eye, dude. He said that the last time we came to Colorado, I was just new champion. And I was there, I watched it. And you're like, wait, he remembers this too, He said, and then everything shut down. And I wrestled in front of nobody. And I was like, we're all like, yeah. And he goes, and I knew AEW wasn't back until we came back to Colorado. And everyone was just freaking out. And I just knew then, like, this guy, of course, the fans, you guys make us, and I'll bust my ass for you because you bust a pretty typical post-show promo. But it really struck me, like, he came out 3 times that night. This guy really is the leader of AEW and in ring, and I really think that this might be looked at as one of the best years of his career, and I want to honor him with best wrestler. So Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley are our best wrestlers of the year. To go through it real quick, best match was Swerve in Our Glory, Young Bucks, Hobbs and Starks, and Ospreay versus Naito. Tag team of the year was Usos and FTR. Best woman wrestler, Jamie Hayter and Julia. Best show was the Forbidden Door, unanimous. Want to keep going, Justin?
Yeah, best new wrestler, we went with Shooter and Roxanne Perez. Most underutilized, both of us agreed on House of Black. Mm-hmm. Best storyline, we both agree with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. Biggest disappointment, I'll take us through the last 3, I mean. Biggest disappointment, I went with CM Punk press conference and the backstage fight. How did they not make that work? And, of course, you went with the former WWE wrestlers in AEW. We agree with best news was Triple H getting the fresh set of eyes on WWE Creative with Vince McMahon having to resign. And the biggest news of the year, you went with the all-out fight with CM Punk. and I went with Vince McMahon not being dead and not being in control of WWE Creative anymore.
Yeah. Yep. This has been the longest episode we've ever done,
oh my
guys.
God.
So
absolutely. We're looking like a keeping it strong style, man. I can't believe it. I know I'm going to go out there and they're like, where were you? So
I know. Seriously, I was planning on being done here by like 11. But hey, that's cool. We had the energy. Maybe it helps that you're off your energy drinks, Justin.
Oh, a lot of coffee.
Yeah, you're doing good. But because it was so long, we are going to get out of here, guys. We appreciate all you guys listening. Let us know how you feel about all this, as I said before. And we will see you guys later.
Happy early new year and all that.